Ospreay had subscribed to us, and we all went, shit.
No, honestly, it's like most of it I fucking deserved back then. But like, honestly, it's
top
like...
5 veg!
Top 5 vegetables? Oh, top 5 vegetables. Sweet potato, broccoli.
I love you, Ospreay.
I don't know other vegetables.
Good place for a date.
Japan.
GRAPPL Sean.
Sean.
Oh!
I do know he's an arsehole, but like, as a kid, man, how funny was it just going up to teachers going, I suck. But like, just quick one, because I'm hungry. I actually listen to the podcast on a regular basis. Like, honestly, I'm in the gym all the time. And the way that you guys actually dissect and look at wrestling, I've actually used some of the things that you guys have said in some promos in old AEW. I'm not even I'll tell you the one I used. When I went against Jericho last time and you said Fozzy was playing, it was a vanity project, I went, I love that.
Weren't we wrong though, William?
But like, on a genuine serious note, like, I actually listen to the podcast all the time. I think you guys are doing wonderful things, and just keep doing what you're doing, and thanks a lot for any of the comments, even if it's been horrible ones. Like, it's honestly, on a genuine note, it's actually helped mature me as a man. I'm not even joking, because like some of those things, some people don't want to tell you the truth about yourself because it's too scared to hurt your feelings, and it's almost better to come from people that you have no idea who they are. It helped me out so much. I honestly can't tell you this enough. I'm in a position now where like I'm looking after a kid, and my whole life is centered around that. And I'm not even joking, it's complete. You guys have actually helped change my methodology and change my thinking as a man. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope to see you guys. Have you got your ticket yet? Because you said on the last one.
I'm in the cheap seats, so, you know.
Blue light tickets, mate, is what you got.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can work my magic.
Hello, I'm about to spotlight the official podcast of GRAPPL. I'm Benno.
I'm JP.
And Matty doesn't know his pieces.
And I'm Matty. No, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at that picture that you put up because I've never seen that one before. What a fucking picture that was.
Lads, that clip, I'm literally, I feel like I'm going to cry again. What a fucking weekend we have had. I don't know if that's the first time you have watched that back, but yes, Will Ospreay did do a surprise appearance at our live show on Saturday afternoon. Have we come back down to earth? And it's only today I've processed that all of that happened. We'll go into the ins and outs of it and stuff like that as well, but fuck me, I'm only just coming back to earth today.
In answer to your question, no, I still haven't recovered from the weekend as well. And it's Tuesday at this point in time of recording. So, like, just an incredible experience. I've got it for video viewers. You can see it as the backdrop there. When and the way that he came in, Matty, the speed with which you ran round to get him as well. Oh. And if you say to him, he's like, you went, Will, and then you should say the line.
I mean, no, listen, lad. I mean, I'll say I was a couple. I'd had a few by this point. Don't get me wrong, but I like we all did. We heard rumours, or we just did mumblers, didn't we? With Ospreay's outside, so and there was a bit of commotion, wasn't he? So I just obviously went off stage, went outside, asked around. I said, "Will Ospreay in there?" A couple of the first people went, "I don't know what you're on about," kind of thing.
Oh, I didn't know about this bit. You went on a manhunt.
Yeah, I went on a manhunt, and then I found wrestling fans, and he went, "Oh yeah, he's in there." I said, "Well, come on then." I'll tell you, you've got them to come in. They followed, and I was looking round the corner, and he was at the back, like ordering his food. And I just went up to him, as you say, JP, and just went, "Will." and he just went, Matty, and I just went, oh shit. And then it was
like, he knew you by name. Like,
oh, scary, like.
My face even.
I just said, like, honestly, mate, we're doing our live show. Literally right now, is there any chance? Sorry to interrupt, like your food. Any chance you can come over? And he just said, sure. And he literally, as people who've seen his work, he's a quick man, JP. Like, he really is a fast man. And I've done my best to keep up. As you said, I did, though. I literally was behind him. And then when he come in, and then obviously the place went bananas, didn't it? Just surreal experience. Absolutely surreal.
Unreal. Look at that. Look how happy he is. Happy was to see Matty is the biggest thing for me. Like, people thought like we'd arranged this or something like that, or like he was at a guest that we'd had planned. No, genuinely, we were just running the show, and he just happened to be going past looking for his dinner, and he bumped. I think he must have poked his head through, because I think obviously the crowd went a little bit. He
looked at the toilet, apparently. Someone said, yeah.
But I was saying this to the people: the only way this was going to take off, Matty, was if you were there, because you were the one who went chasing after him. Like you said, you're the one who found him. You're the one he recognised, and you brought him back. And as I said during the live show, I'm still shocked you didn't just get your $5 back from him from the photo that your dad taken a few years ago. But like, only that was like. Podcast Matty JP meets the Matty I've always known that will do this at live shows, and we'll end up in a corner chatting to like Jill Bate or somebody like that. Like, only you can get to come back and come in. But obviously, you know, everyone heard the words he said there as well, which was, you know, obviously humbling for us. And you know, it's not always been love. We've obviously been very critical of Ospreay, and he's heard that criticism very clearly based on what he said there. You know, especially going back a few years. So while he is a listener, we had a sneaking suspicion, but kind of crazy that he's out there. But yeah, the fact that he was willing to come in and answer those big questions, JP, fuck, unbelievable, incredible,
and especially as well, because we were halfway through doing our top 5 worst AEW moments for the show as well.
Which he wasn't on an MJ
when he'd gone. It was like, okay, I'm not quite sure we're going to finish this bit, but somehow we'll manage to work it out.
For the live viewers, the audio went a bit janky there. I was playing the video, but at the very end, like literally, we had to just go. So, our top 5 worst AEW moments, then, lads. Just kind of get back. Like the entire next few minutes of the show were just a bit of a wash, because obviously everyone was just real. We all needs to get the bar, if we're honest. We had a mid-show break plan that we all desperately. We just needed a pint at that point to escape, but. Just unreal, yeah. As Zach says there, obviously.
Benno, it can't go undersold, though, can it? It's like, obviously, like you guys especially, and even me in the later stages of my indie run, as we say, Benno, here, it's like we've seen them literally. How many small little venues, you know, arenas, and then seeing him what he's become now as one of the best actual wrestler in the world, and one of the biggest names in the world. That I always say as well, like the transition he's made from that into a TV wrestler, he's got everything got over, hasn't he? Like the Englishman in America type thing. So fucking amazing. Like, and as Gareth said, that guy who literally travelled from Kuwait to see Will Ospreay, and he's seen Will Ospreay on our stage. What a surreal experience for him! Even more so. Unbelievable.
Paid cash to get into a live podcast.
Paid cash to get in. He must have thought, what the hell's going on? But yeah, just can't thank him enough. He didn't have to do it, and it was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Definitely. Oh, go on, JP.
Harry is the 7-year-old. Harry, he's
how did the kids react? I don't think I saw.
He's sprinting up to the front, and Vicky, who's 28 weeks pregnant, by the way, chasing after him as well, just like, because he started just running through to the fact he heard all this noise, and I think he wondered what the hell was going on, heard Will Ospreay, and then it was just like, it just ran to the front as well. So I think for him, it was just like, this is mental. And it's like, and then you see and obviously we'll talk about it, the reaction he gets from Wembley, and you realise actually the size of star that he is in wrestling these days. Well, you know, like you said, Matty, the transition from a bloke who I remember, and I spoke about this with Joe at the weekend, that we watching him wrestle above a car park in Wolverhampton as we stood up on a ladder drinking cans of cider, to you know, at Wembley in front of 54,000, I'll say. That'll be my conservative estimate for the crowd. But yeah, just incredible. And the show was incredible. All the people who came along, it was phenomenal. The venue was incredible as well. It was just, there was so much.
Hackney Bridge is just a great place in general, isn't it? Hence why Ospreay was trying to get his dinner there. But yeah, I obviously got there early in the day and just saw it. I was like, yep, this will do as a venue. Pints were a little bit expensive, I will say. We had no control over that. We also had no control over the rogue bouncer who probably tried to body block Ospreay as he tried to come in, as he tried to stop a few other people coming in during our show. I said on the pre-show he was trying to get us off stage to book some people in and check tickets. It was like, mate, we're 5 minutes into the show. You piss off, will you? Outside of that, though, it was pretty fucking seamless. And like I said, once obviously that happened there, I genuinely, I said it then, I wasn't sure what to expect. Like I'd seen it on YouTube, subscriptions that maybe he might have been out there watching us, but obviously we have been, and I think I'd stand by a lot of the criticism we said that Will Ospreay over the years, and I don't think he would, stop us from saying some of those things you said, both about real life and some wrestling criticism as well. But obviously he heard that too, and yeah, could have gone a couple of different ways. I was thinking of all my Twitter enemies maybe turning up Matty. I was wondering about that. Like, put me location's never a great thing, but obviously it went well, and yeah, just what an unbelievable afternoon we had. We got to be said as well. Like the show went easy because Ospreay turned up, and then it just we realised it doesn't really matter what we say now. We can spend this entire second half just mumbling along, and that's all anyone's going to remember. But I think the two things people are going to remember from the live show are the Ospreay appearance and one Andy Ogden, who I want to give special thanks to for his incredible job as the MC. I know we have some audio of the show. As professional podcasters, we should be able to retrieve it. And
I'm going to be working on that tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, look, we'll talk. I've done a little bit of sweetening myself on it so far, but we'll hopefully get something out there for people. But like, I think just because I want people to see that stuff in full with Ospreay, but also to hear Andy Ogden doing his best. Like, what was he, like, bingo caller, Matty, stand-up comedian,
ring announcer, like
it's all of the different things at once. Just incredible.
And then some. Like, honestly, he could have went longer with the introductions, and we would still be pissing. And he had the audience in the palm of his hands, didn't he? Like, honestly, told him this personally as well when I met up with him after the Rev Pro. Just incredible job, JP. Like, not even bullshitting, like, unbelievable stuff.
Said to him as well, he had the timing of a stand-up comedian as well. He's honestly in front of a crowd. He's absolutely he's got it nailed. He had his glamorous assistant Jeff with him as well. Also want to give a shout out as well to Liam, who did the music on the day and was making sure that all of that was going well at the same time.
Another one born for that role, JP. Liam. Another one loved it.
DJ Liam, what a man.
Yeah, it was a
DJ
cracking
Doom
playlist.
Oh yeah, it was like the little bits of music he was playing as we went through. Someone might see a clip of a moment in the show, Matty, later on. I don't know, maybe I'll sneak that in before we go off air. But he was even in the background doing that as well. So yeah, that was great. Have you recovered yet, Matty? Sorry from acknowledging me. You're okay, mate. That was the but anyone who didn't see, that was the forfeit. Matty did acknowledge his GRAPPL chief with his AEW hat and his AEW was kind of like more of a flag, I'd say, but it looked like a gown on your mate. I did see in another video you're launching the AEW hat into the
I was doing a Stephen Rock with the IC belt in the Detroit River, was it? I was
Steph, that makes you fuming.
I didn't know that. No, sorry, Steph, I'm so sorry. I literally found that out on the drive home on Monday morning. I really apologise for that, otherwise I would not have done it. But
where is the hat and cape, Matty? That's what I want to know. Where does it go?
Oh God, I think I gave them away to people.
I'm only messing with you, I've got them.
Oh yeah, thank you, Jesus, because I did pass them to someone. Like,
you were scared.
He spent the whole night wearing the AEW hat, but he was wearing it proudly, unlike you.
I read Pro on my picture, which we'll talk about with Alvarez. I've got that on back to front. Yeah, because I was thinking I didn't bring the New York hat to the on the Saturday. That was the Sunday, but I thought it must be the AEW one. But no, honestly, Benno, deserved that, after 2.5 years of that bet and the listeners.
Story, mate.
That's
what it was. The bet paid off finally.
Don't worry, I'll have an angle plan for the next live show if you ever do, but don't you worry.
I'm going to have to acknowledge. You'll have what's it called? You blew everyone's mind knowing the name of it. Your fella or whatever it's called.
Fella.
Yeah, you'll have one of them ready for next time to get me back. But I appreciate the acknowledgement, mate. It was all
Of
done.
course, mate.
Good fun. Great way to end the show. So that was another highlight as well. Like I say, thank you to Andy, thank you to Liam, and thank you to Jeff Ogden as well for helping organise the raffle as well, which was a booming success too. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that all as well. It's a cracking day, wasn't it? And I said that I put a Patreon post. I know you guys have put stuff on the Discord as well. It's not just saying it. Running into all of our listeners at our show, at Rev Pro, at AEW as well, sort of a few people as well, just is the most rewarding thing, and just unbelievable. It's great for us.
When I think of how long we've been doing this for, and how many, and the amount of stuff we've done, and even now several live shows at this point, it never ceases to amaze me in terms of just the support that people give us. And it was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful, and everyone was great. It was just great having just chin wags with people afterwards as well. There's so many people to kind of like
a lot of photos Matty got to.
Oh yeah,
saw them.
Honestly, I said it.
Fiver a pop as well, cash.
Did well.
This money gimmick's got to stop at me, lads. I'm all like...
Never, mate.
Nice rounds now, to be fair, JP.
I'm all for the love.
Change, man.
No, but to be fair, lads, honestly, like I said it half on our live show, it's never not so surreal, people coming up. And I said this, like, I'm the new guy to the team as well, aren't I? You guys have been doing it way longer than me, like you say, JP, and just to be accepted by the listeners and to have nice words said and that, because it could have went the other way. Me coming on pro WWE, don't feel like literally, like, could have just went turn listeners off. But no, it's so nice to hear that, like, people still.
I'll send you over the numbers in a bit, mate.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, but even like just stories like people saying, like, the wives don't even like wrestling, but like they love hearing my laugh and stuff. It's so surreal, Benno. Like, it just honestly, the kind words and just it's insane. It's insane, mate.
So great to run into so many people, and an amazing weekend. We had our friend Michael Hamflet come and watch them. We went and saw their show as well. A little bit bigger than ours, I've got to say, lads. So we've got something to aim for the next one.
Hamflet's lads, he's like
bigger than most wrestling shows that were going on this weekend.
It genuinely was.
No, it was
by quite a distance.
I think we were bigger than some. We were bigger than some still.
Oh yeah,
at least
I think we were.
Like,
we'll be as forthcoming with the numbers as Tony Khan has been, but. That's the goal.
I've got to put Hamflet over every chance I can get because I fucking love the man, Benno. You know that he's just like, honestly, if I could just like literally stand and talk.
Yeah, you did all this, mate, on Saturday at the Copperbox to him when you had too many drinks. Him and Brian Alvarez, mate.
Yeah, if I can...
And Dave Meltzer. You were looking for Dave Meltzer too. Did you
find him? Of course I did. But yeah, honestly, I can speak to anyone about wrestling. It's Hamflet all day long. And Alvarez, like, honestly, what it's stupid because it became a running bit in the end. When I first seen him, I was asking him, like, just tell them, like, I've been listening to for years and stuff like that. And then literally, JP, I seen him about 17 more times as we rubbed the top. And every time he kept saying to me, yes, I know who you are, but he was loving it. He was genuinely loving it.
Hang on, he listens to GRAPPL, like, that's great as well.
But I did shoot him a message because I thought, I hope I didn't come across like a fucking stalker, like it became so bad. And he was even great fun on the message. He was a top man. It's got to be said, like, really was a top man.
I don't know, mate. When it comes to stalking Brian Alvarez, I like to think I'm the one who I do a hell of a job for this one.
This is a yearly tradition now, mate.
I can't even. I would have to share the photo from. I'll get it up on here in the next second. But yeah, got the yearly Charlie photo. Who at that point was falling asleep. Like he was absolutely knackered when he saw Dave, and he managed to get the photo with him there. I'll see if I can just. I'll share it.
I've got it here, mate.
Oh right. Oh brilliant. Yeah. Because there was a couple of them on there.
Happy family.
What a picture that is, though, seriously.
I didn't expect the arms on them and stuff.
Look at Dave, though. He's genuinely.
He is.
He really, really is.
And I was like, do you remember the baby from last year? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, here we go. Well, round 2, mate. We're going to do this until he's 20. And he just loads.
Still carrying him though, JP. All 3 years, he'll be lying on all 3.
He's got the pair of those lads have got guns. They'll be all right with it as well. And there was another wacky one with ELP and Brian Alvarez.
I was chatting to ELP. Oh, I was chatting to for ages, Benno.
And
You chat to everyone, mate. That's all your weekend was.
You know what? Do you want me to tell you what I was telling him? I just said to him, I said, just stop jack all this in and just come to NXT. I was saying to him.
Come to NXT? Sorry, mate, you work for Sean? What's going on?
No, he fucking hated it. He fucking hated
He
it.
didn't like it.
Good man. He's
I asked
correct
him when-
to do with that.
I didn't ask him when that LIJ shite's going to stop anytime soon. And I think he was like, come on, mate, you can't say it. There's a lot going on in that picture, whether it's the baby, it's the combination of Alvarez and ELP, it's the Bullseye t-shirt. There was so much happening on there as well. But it was the night for that. It was the night for the wacky photos and everything else. But just glorious.
Really was. If we ran into it, it was a pleasure. Genuinely, every interaction I had was fantastic as well. I enjoyed Joe chatting off Alvarez's ear about Washington as well. Chatting to him about the weird little towns he's been in. I thought he was just controlling you, Matty, but I think he was just as bad as you, loving it with Bryan and Dave too. But we all had quite a few on Saturday, I would say. Once our live show was out the way, it was like let's go. Hence why I've rewatched the Copperbox show today to get myself ready. I had a cracking time on the night, but match detail, I needed to rewatch. Can
I give a bit of like insight here? I genuinely don't know some of the results still, so I might be much confident. I
won't lean on you when we get to that section, mate.
In the car on the way home, I was like, did Dijak beat Gabe Kidd? Because I can't remember.
Oh,
mate, yes. Strong open weight champion he is now, mate. Honestly,
but the stuff I did see was incredible, like we were saying a bit, and what a time, what a venue as well, which we're going to. What a venue that was.
Absolutely. It was a corking weekend, and the last thing before we do get into the shows, we've got a pretty fucking big one to talk about, lads. Probably going to be a big spot like this one. JP, as we had Dickie Beard on the pre-show, we have for the public people, there is some new brand spanking grapple merch people can get as well.
Oh, there is, mate. If you get yourself across to choppedtees.com, there is finally the GRAPPL collaboration with Chopped Tees, and we've got lots of lovely new merch out there as well in proper QVC mode now at this stage. You're wearing the GRAPPL hat on there. I'm wearing the GRAPPL ringer tee, which is lovely, arrived the other day. But you can see here up on the screen for video viewers as well. Got your caps, got your retro caps there as well. A couple of original designs. Shout out to Ben Moxon for these, for the Great Muta Gentleman's 3 as well. Lovely little bit of hat wear. You've got the snapback on there as well. There's a white hoodie that I think you really like the idea of, and I'm just terrified I'd stain. Frankly, if I owned that, I can't see a world.
I'm risking things wearing a white t-shirt while I drink coffee here tonight, mate. So, got to be careful.
Still on that high, Ben.
Exactly. That was my fear of this as well. This will end up with a big old stain in it as well at the same time. But yeah, no, we got a cracking collaboration with them as well, and all of the prices, I should say, include P&P. No hidden charges at all. What you see on there is what you pay. And at the same time, if it's your first order and you sign up via email, you get 10% off. What more do you want? And I should as well give a shout out to some of the other, obviously, some of our friends who are on there, whether it be Poison Rana, Post Wrestling on there as well. There is some cracking stuff on there. Karen Peterson's got the Empress t-shirt up on there. I know WH has got some brilliant stuff for MCU later as well in terms of like the spin-off stuff. I think there's like a Ribera track jacket thing that's there as well for MCU later. It's just brilliant stuff. And I'll say it's better than PWTs. I'll just throw that into the
that should be the slogan.
It should be. Should be the title of the show, mate, there as well. So, yeah. So, if you want to go across there, just go to chopped-tees.com.
Definitely some cracking stuff there that Dickie's done. Incredible work. The other shops are fantastic on there as well. And yeah, obviously it's been your baby, as we said on the pre-show. JP Ben Moxon's done a cracking job with some of these designs as well. So yeah, people have been asking for it a while. So get your GRAPPL merch, and look forward to seeing people sporting it as well. We'll be plugging that hard over the next few weeks. But some great stuff there. But lads, we've started talking the weekend. Like I say, our live show was incredible. Like I say, touched by that moment with Will Ospreay and all of the people we met. Saturday night was incredible with the Rev Pro show. Really corking show, that one. We're going to be talking that one a bit later. Great night out. Great seeing everybody as well. But we do have to start with the reason I think most people are tuning in here, which is All In on the Sunday on on Wembley, as we, like I say, no live show on a Sunday this year, Batty, so we were all a bit more fresh-headed here. Was it just a Cokes Sunday afternoon to get yourself up to Wembley? I took it in a lot more this time, I'd say. I had a nice little day knocking around the stadium after the What Culture show on the Sunday, just chilling out, really, and taking it easy, and just taking in the sights and sounds, enjoying the fact we were all at Wembley.
Well, we had one as we were walking up Wembley Way. Went in the box park beforehand because we got there about half an hour before. So we had one in there. Bet Liam, literally, it was literally like Liam shot us a message saying like if we're about, didn't even have to message him. The first person we see was Liam when we were walking up Wembley Way. It's just so strange. Last year it was Joe. This year it was Liam. But we just went in there beforehand. Had a quick one, and then as you say, Ben, just walking up and just like feeling that much better, that like not unlike last year after the show, as you said. Still quite hungover though, to be honest, and a bit tired, but once we got to Wembley and seen it and the spectacle, and when we walked in, I love that build of just, I want to see what it looks like, and when you walk up them steps to see what it looked like, and for me it was just even though it was down in attendance, it was a way better setup than last year, like guys, like JP, it was though, wasn't it?
Oh, I think so, absolutely. I mean, I needed hair of the dog. I did. I'm an old fella, and I was up early, and I was like, I needed a hair of the dog. So I had a couple of quick points before I went in there. But yeah, just dare I say, it's a controversial opinion. I quite like it when stuff isn't sold out. There's a lot more space and room and comfort. But as soon as I saw the images of the setup, and I found that as well from Joe, that it was pretty much lifted entirely from what Taylor Swift had. And it works for a reason. It was like a hell of a setup. And in many ways, it was like the way that they filmed around it as well when I was watching it back in terms of the actual pay-per-view itself. Just a brilliant setup as well for it. I think it just worked entirely. It looked big, whereas last year, I think there was problems whereby the staging and stuff, because there were so many people, but it still felt like it was like a bit lower key. This felt like, what would WWE have at Wembley? They'd have something like this, and it very much sort of like followed those lines.
I'm glad you have said that, because that was the first takeaway for me. My other first takeaway was how bad the food was this year, but we talked enough about that on the pre-show. But like, I was supposed to be, because that was the joke on the clip you just heard. I had cheap seats in the nosebleeds, like very, very cheap seats from blue light, which would make your eyes water with cheap they were. And they closed the section I was supposed to be in and moved us down. I got a text in the morning saying we've been upgraded, but that can mean anything, can't you? Like when you get to the stadium, you don't know where you're gonna go. It's one of them. I walked right in, got. You can't. It's weird because you scan with your normal ticket, and then there's literally a bloke standing there with like a pile of paper tickets, just handing them out willy nilly. I was like, I should get like 10 here, and we could like start at a GRAPPL section somewhere in the corner. But I ended up in like seats equivalent to like you guys in the 100. So I was very, very, very lucky this year. And like, honest to God, like that was my first takeaway. It was like, oh, you know what? Them closing my section and them closing. Being tactical about the sections they closed. We can talk about the lack of an attendance number later. We're not going to be leading with that this week. But like I thought the same thing. I thought it looked better than last year, despite the fact there was 30 odd, we presume, less that 1,000, maybe 20,000 less people there. Like that was the biggest takeaway, because they were smart about where the tart was, and they were smart about moving people like me in the gods that I was supposed to be in into like a more packed lower section where we were all in one place. And you could see like dotted red seats, especially in the daytime, but it wasn't obvious, especially when I watched the show back on screen, that like there were big sections missing. It just looked like a big stadium. I thought they were much smarter about it this year.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? Because last year it was like, well, we've sold 81,000 tickets, so everyone was dotted about, but you're waiting for people to necessarily come in. And where we were on the camera side, so there were a few more red seats around us. We actually had to move because we literally couldn't see, because there was one of the pillars was right in the corner, so it was like separating half of the ring, and it was like, nah, this isn't going to work. So we moved out, like several other people just moved into other seats, and then it's not football where you're just not going to get told to fuck off if you try and sit in someone else's seat. It was actually these are spare seats, sit there, it's absolutely fine. So I did think that. I thought they were like quite canny and tactical with it, and some of the reviews I saw of it as well were saying the same thing about actually you wouldn't have known. Like, if you didn't know the attendance figure or anything else, you would have figured it wouldn't have been a million miles away from what it was last year, just because they were canny about how they filmed it as well. And yet, obviously, earlier on in the show, when the sun's still up, you're still going to see some of the tarp and whatnot. But then towards the end, it wasn't even a thing. And it was
the only negative I heard was the screens, the plats.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, even not our side, we couldn't see it. On the goal end. Yeah, we couldn't see it, and also when they decided to put the Wembley screen on itself in the actual stadium, we could our section, could you hear our section chanting all the way through, turn the lights off because
I thought that was you, mate.
They had 4 literally spotlights on, and it was just reflective, and you couldn't see nothing on the big screen. Like, so we were literally having to watch the ring, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but you know, for all the little stuff in like the Mariah Toni match and Bryan with Brian and his kid, we couldn't really see it, what was going on, because we didn't have the screens to let us know. So that was the only slight negative for me.
You couldn't hear anyone shouting like how much for a pint or anything like that, or doing any orders or anything else. You couldn't hear that.
I was saving it for the Britt Baker versus Monet match, because someone literally was trying to order a pot noodle on the phone. JP, genuinely.
How are they going to get it in?
No, he's like, they'll get me that chicken and mushroom one for after the show. That's what he said on the phone. Genuinely, we'll talk about that. Because before we jump ahead, I've heard so much as well. I've only watched some entrances back on YouTube to see what like you come across like on TV and the spectacle and grandeur of it all. But I've heard conflicting reports on like some of the matches that come across on telly better. Like, because I'm going to go in particularly hard on one of these matches from a live experience, like for sure.
There was a lot of matches where, you know, like Raman says here, there was a lot of pint ordering going on.
That wasn't the match I'm talking about.
Oh, really? Okay, we'll get into that. Well, from a live experience point of view, the thing I'd say as well is like, I've watched it back on tape as well. There's positives and negatives. Like, it being I'll just say it now, just throw it out, spoiler. I enjoyed this year's show more than I did last year's show. I enjoyed the experience more than I did last year. There's definitely things that improve, you know, the pacing of the show and the speed which they went between certain matches kind of forced you to go for a piss during some of those matches later on, just to have a break. That's actually something you all lot have got right there, Matty. I think the long 15-minute fucking selling your WWE shop segments that they do have on their pay-per-views are actually great when you're there live. They're not great when you're watching at home, but when you're there live, it's time to go get a drink, get a pint, get reset, be ready for the next match. There's certain things like that like made it a little bit tougher in a very long stadium show. Although they did it, I think the 4 hours almost exactly on the show itself, and might have been a little bit better at home on pacing, but I think they paced it, you know, largely well until that second half when they maybe lost the track of it as well. But all of that kind of added to the experience of the day. Would you say that, like, as a starting point? Did you have I had a better time than last year. I'll say that outright.
Oh yeah, I did, because I felt last year I was down on the floor and I was just staring up at a screen for large swathes because I couldn't see the ring. This time round, like,
the fallacy of stadium shows, that, JP.
It is, and maybe this might be me. There might be the thing that I've been kind of spoilt by seeing so much stuff relatively close up. The stadium shows are still a bit weird for me to see, because there's still that vibe I get of, like, I'm not watching the ring, I'm watching a screen of the ring that's just above it as well. And again, not the biggest of screens as well. I'm sure they could have got something bigger in there, but that's another point for another time, really. But I think it overall was a better experience. I mean, again, there's a couple of obvious options, but there's one match in particular. You lose that, and you think about if you manage to spread out and allow things to have a bit more time to breathe, because you'd lose an unnecessary 15 minutes on the show for a match that should have been on the pre-show at best, then that would have almost been absolutely perfect. It was, and I didn't see, I should say, spoiler alert, the pre-show I wasn't in there for. I was in there at the end of the pre-show, but I didn't feel like I was like, I heard 16-man match. Oh, fuck that.
JP,
like,
come on. Right, no, seriously, JP, did you not get a chance to see Kevin Von Erich live, mate? Come on, that was one of my highlights of the whole show. JP, I'm devastated for you.
I didn't, mate. All them lads. I've seen enough of those lads to last me a fucking lifetime. Like, I don't
do that though. Did they put 5 o'clock on the tickets and then the pre-show starts at 4? Like they did the same thing as they did last year when we were all walking out. I mean, I learned my lesson this year, and I did get in, but I was kind of milling around. I mean, we're not gonna. There's a lot to go blow by blow on, and obviously we've got a Rev Pro to I want to wax lyrical about later as well. But the pre-show, like. Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific other than Jamie Hayter we really need to go into, other than the fact that, it was hilarious seeing the Von Erichs. And just in general, it was a bit of a, like, murderer's row of just, we flew these lads over, let's throw them a bone. Because I was, like, ticking people off, like, because I said to you on the pre-show, staying around Wembley on the Thursday and on the Sunday, you just see the entire roster, rocking around, looking for food and wandering around Wembley thinking this is the entirety of London. And it was, like, ticking people off going, okay, so why did they fly over Sammy Guevara? Ah, right, he's in this match. Why did they fly over Top Flight? Ah, right, here they are. Like, it was just... I almost thought I think they overstepped the line. I get being a nice boss and trying to get everybody on your shows, but like it was kind of ridiculous, wasn't it? Like it felt like there were like 4 10-man matches, and like you just can't put everyone on a show. It just makes it all a bit. There's a reason we're not going to break any of it down because it was all just meaningless spots, wasn't it? With too many people crammed into too little, screen time. I would say in the pre-show for this one.
It just felt like a reason to get people on a card, just so there was something to look while you found your seat. But like, would I have was there any point? That was the thing I thought was, well, if I see this, is there any point in analysing it? Like, we're giving it too much time now, aren't we? Really, for what it actually deserves. But it is a thing that they still, it's that urge that. We got to get everyone on the show, and it was like, no, you have a match for that to get people who you haven't got a role for, but you do still need that quality control rather than look how many people we flew over.
Because at the same time, like you're saying, guys, like if honestly someone had a gun to all 3 of our heads, and you had to name the 2 sides of 8 men. We'd be dead, wouldn't we? We couldn't do it.
At them, going, I should know who's in this match, but I genuinely don't, and I can't be bothered getting my phone out to find out if that's Action Andretti I'm looking at, or like, I'm far away, Sammy Guevara or whoever, you know what I mean? It's like,
you know what?
I didn't care.
I did get a chuckle as well, because obviously didn't see it with the ring gear and the screens weren't on then. Like, didn't Brian Cage and Sammy Guevara literally have the same Wolverine?
That was the one. That's what I meant to say.
And they were in the same match on the opposite teams. That's fucking...
Yeah. The only things to kind of mention, like I say, I thought Shibata might have been in the casino deal later on. That might have been a better use of him. Outside of that, yeah, it was just a lot of guys on there. The main thing, as we've said, is the fact that the Jamie Hayter came back. What do you think about doing that on the pre-show? Obviously the Saraya like element of it, like it was clearly being built to. All their family getting a day out was at least part of the thought process there, as well as a number of British wrestlers. Rio and a few others were involved in that as well. It was nice to see Jamie Hayter come back. A bop of an entrance theme, but. I see the argument. You would probably rather do that on the main show, but it was a squeeze for time as it was, wasn't it? So yeah, that's kind of probably the thinking there.
In an ideal world, she appears at one of the end of the 2 title matches, and she gets, if arguably, a bigger pop because everyone would have been in there as well. But like you say, timing wise, that made it that was the thing that made it tricky. I mean, I just thought, in some ways, it being on the pre-show for me somewhat minimises it. Like, I think her return at Wembley, for how big a star she was before she got injured, really, it needed to be something a bit more substantial. I thought it was interesting while it wasn't a match that she was involved in. It was just like a couple of spots, really, and then that was it, and it was done and dusted. And I thought, she might appear later on. I thought there was one match in particular that she might ended up appearing on as well afterwards, and that would have been possibly the perfect place for her to come back in. But no, that wasn't. So I definitely would have had her appearing on the main show.
Yeah. Any other notes for you from the pre-show, Matty? I enjoyed seeing Tommy Billington on there looking.
I mean, it's one of them we can tick a lot of wrestlers off we've never seen.
You've seen them live now. I didn't see spreadsheets. 70 odd, somebody said in the chat there. There you go.
JP, I genuinely got Gareth to record the video of Kevin Von Erich putting the claw on whoever he put it on, because it's a legend to see JP. Like, for me, I buzzed off that so much on that. And it is good to see Jamie Hayter back, to be fair as well. So On the pre-show, I was obviously soon today come out and just said to the lads, "Well, this is Jamie Hayter's return, then, isn't it?" And the way it worked out, you know,
big pop.
It was huge. Oh, huge pop. And as you say, that entrance theme's an absolute tune, isn't it? It really
comes on in any club, mate. You're on the
we're
floor, aren't you?
We're all bouncing around to that if that comes on. But yeah, as you say, too many men on the matches with them, the 16-man, the 10-man. But what can you do? He's going to get them all on the card, isn't he? He's always going to do that.
Stokely Hathaway got a match on the pre-show. Unbelievable.
That's shocking.
Will Rishi versus Statlander and stuff. That's when I was getting me terrible chicken and chips. But there we go. That's kind of it, really, as far as the pre-show goes. And as the chat has said, yeah, we did the entrances for the ladder match in the pre-show, which again tells you they were thinking about the timing of things. And that takes us into the main show, lads. And yeah, we kicked off with Pack and Blackpool Combat Club winning the London ladder match. Here we had the Patriarchy, the Bang Bang Gang, and the House of Black as the other teams in here as well. Laughed at Christian doing a run in this one again. When I watched this one back on the VOD, it made a lot more sense. Some of the spots they did in here with those lads. Still find it extremely weird that Pack and the Blackpool Combat Club are a thing. But more on that in the main event. Enjoyed I'm sure you were pissing yourself, Matty, at the tiny ladders that they wheeled out. Very much.
And then they got the big ladders. One that was way higher than the belts. It was just like...
Somebody was ringing around Brit Res Promotions this week, weren't they, to get those sorted. Taylor's old as time.
The tables though, Ben, like they look like, some look like Japanese tables, but then some just look like skinny pieces of plywood, like bolted together. It was strange tables, weren't they? From my section anyway.
Cracking edition of WLC though, I'd say, JP.
It was, I would say, for this match, it definitely. This was part of so we realised we had to move after this match because the pillar was right in the way of what we were watching. So there was lots of stuff we just couldn't see because stuff's going on in the middle of the ring and that's the bit being blocked off. So we had kind of decided to move. So this is one of the matches I wanted to go back and watch live simply to see how they opened the show up. And I thought they did it quite well in terms of already doing the entrances. The crowd knew to pop straight away, like, okay, this is the proper start of the show. So they were like kind of hot for it. It was better on the pay-per-view than what it was going to see it live. Going to see it live, there was like I was struggling to keep up with bits of it as well. It was a ladder match with silliness. It was almost like they'd rushed getting the ladders hadn't been the primary thought process of like getting them in early and that they needed to get them in well and truly above there. And it had a kind of like what was, I suppose, the standard kind of finish in some ways. As soon as they had Pac on the card, he thought, they're desperate to put the trios titles on him. It's just that this time he wasn't with. Doesn't matter who he's with, Penta or Phoenix or Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. It's like either way, you're getting this is the title you're getting, mate. But it got the necessary pop. I thought it was, as ladder matches go, like I say, enjoyed it more on the TV. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine on the TV. Live, it didn't really do a lot for me.
It wasn't blow away or nothing, was it? I had high expectations on the review last week, a preview for the last week for this event, but it was fine. Couple of decent spots. The Destroyer by Nick Wayne through the ropes to the outside to Malachi Black was a good spot. Juice Robinson nearly.
Multiple times nearly dying, but the one on his bollocks was the worst.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was like, what is he playing at? And
really fucking castrated himself, mate. On that. That was shocking.
But I did like the Luchasaurus and Christy and stuff, which plays into later on, which we will talk about, I am sure.
I will say, like, I'm a big fan of the Bang Bang Gang. I was kind of pulling for that. I just think if they could when they bring Jay White back, if they slot him in the right place, I love them as a stable. I love Juice Robinson in his little role as kind of the mid card goof of the stable. I love Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn as like I suppose a lower card tag team in there. This is a good role for them, but it's the trios belt. They'll get them back at some point. It doesn't really mean much, but there we go. That was the opener, and yeah, we went to match number 2, which was a genuine shock for me. Mariah May and Timeless Toni Storm. This was my first big question mark as far as the structure of the show goes. James saying there the TLC match was very much a tribute to Eddie Denison and Mark Andrews at a Progress Wembley with some of the furniture. This was a tribute to Progress having the women's match on second, and I know I'm not the 47th person to make that joke, but I was thinking Daylight as well to throw the Toni Storm act out there as well. I thought they had a lot going against them, going on second here, and you know what, lads, I think they managed it in great form. Like, I thought this was incredible. Like, this was, for the majority of the card, and obviously something would take it over near or very much at the end. Like, outside of the main event, the best match on the card. I think. Yeah. I see the criticism of this feud. I think, yes, they peaked early. Yes, the turn happened, and the week after wasn't great either. I don't think there's been much in the way of development in the weeks since, but I do think Mariah May's performances have been very good, at least in those pre-taped moments that she's had there. Toni Storm's been a little bit hot and cold, like she's been too angry to do the gimmick in points, and then at other points she's back in full gimmick, depending on the individual week. So I see some of the criticism going into it, but once they got in there, they just had a corker of a match that. And I would say all of the melodrama that came with it, and just said to me as a starting point, JP, like Mariah May, like she was interviewed by Steph during the press stuff on Friday, and Steph asked her, like, oh, what did you learn in Japan? And she was like, well, basically I learned how to wrestle. And like, that's the position, she will say herself she was in, was not a polished act whatsoever when she first went out to Japan. Like, the development of her, both as a character, as an in-ring wrestler, like, what an act. Like, she's put it together, and this felt like a coming home moment. This one, it was a big night for her, for me.
I was so shocked by this. I really was, because like you, came out second, it was daylight. I went, oh god, do you know what, it's going to sound really silly, I ended up thinking of Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens at that WrestleMania when they put it on second, and I was like, you've ballsed up. Here's one of your hotter feuds, and I agree with you that it did lose some steam in those final couple of weeks, but they stuck the landing, and they made sure, and the crowd, again, they were so invested in this. The amount of people I saw just dressed up like Toni Storm, just milling around the place, was kind of incredible there as well. And I'm looking at Mariah May. I was like, how long has she been wrestling? 2019 is her first match. She only was in Stardom in 2023. And look at her now. Like, at this stage, and I have to say, for the moment when she slapped her mum, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I was so confused by that, I honestly thought that was Toni Storm's mum in the building. And I only found out when I rewatched it. I was like, oh, that's who that was. I don't know on that. Like, I like the running spot. I like that she did that. It was like the kiss to Nigel as well.
Nigel, drop kick,
and then it was like that combo. Like, it was a great character moment, but I don't know. Was it a step too far to do the to hit your own mum? I don't know.
If you're gonna, I know, she's the character is, she's absolutely.
I suppose it fits with what she's doing.
Yeah. And I thought, if you're going to do it here. And at least, like, they would, and it didn't make too much of a difference, because by the end of the match, like, she was being cheered. She was like, certainly in the section where I was, she was like massively. They both were massively over, and they sort of willed this to a better match than it had any right to do. Like, perfectly clean finish. I thought this was as good as I've ever seen Mariah May. And I watched a fair bit of her Stardom stuff, because it was always like one of these, like, kind of, she's a real work in progress. And the idea, even when she was brought in, thinking, well, you could see where the storyline beats were for this feud, but is Mariah May up to it in the ring? That was always the kind of question. It's like, well, you have to say yes. Now, some of that's to do with Toni Storm. And you think of the reaction Toni Storm got at the end as well after losing. And I thought, this is like, it was that culmination of, no, you're massively over. And I knew that we knew that already in previous weeks, but it was just having that kind of, like, seeing the reaction around people around it for, like, both of them as well. I thought just so much better, and I agree with you, second best match on the card.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, for me, Toni Storm hasn't. Was the last time she had a match better than this? I mean,
about to say
it. Like, no.
She hasn't.
The argument might be Mariah May might be better now. I don't know, or at least has a higher ceiling, because I just think Toni Storm. It was always the joke, wasn't it? We know as much as the character works, clearly landed and worked even when it's not for us. The ceiling in the matches is 3.5 stars. I go at least 4 for this one, and I think a lot of it was Mariah May's work in it. You mentioned the finish there, JP, and Mariah's put over strongly, but that was another knock I saw on it. And maybe go to you on this one, Matt, as the one who's here for the melodrama and here for the the props, which was very leaned into. But like, I didn't have a problem with it here. call me a hypocrite if you want, but like for me, I mean, I suppose the argument begins and ends with: are you willing to accept a character like Toni Storm on your TV? If you're not, then you're not gonna like this. And I've been hot and cold on the Toni Storm character, but at the point where she is a character on the TV and this is her, like, is there anything more her character to be melodramatic about using the shoe as a weapon, and for that to be a downfall, and that to allow, you know, Mariah May to hit the knees and to take her out and get the relatively clean win, as you said, JP. There was ever a character that really fit with it, eh? Like, you've got a real life example. She's like fucking Britney Spears' Instagram account. Like, it doesn't shock me that she'd act in this kind of, you know, crazed way. You know, she is. If you were gonna, it's a bit like, you know, when they had the boogeyman in OVW and they were trying to explain that no, he's actually just, he's insane. That's what it is. They're trying to give it like a kayfabe reaction to it. Is that not what Toni Storm's character is? That she has gone a bit loopy and she is like, you know, this the kind of a crazy person and would, you know, be so melodramatic like this and would take it so seriously and would cry like that. Like, that worked for me, Matty. I think that's just part of what the act is. And yeah, I think, like I said on our Discord, I think this feud has earned that little bit of colour, that little bit of melodrama, and it didn't hurt the match for me. I thought it was a good finish.
And it's nowhere near finish for me. Like, that plays into that there's going to be an obvious rematch. Like, obviously, Mariah May bled in this match, which is a good callback to obviously the angle where she made Toni bleed. But as you say, when she's holding her up to go and finish it off for good and get total payback, I love that fact of, like, she couldn't do it and she freaked out, which will obviously lead to the big payoff when they do have the big return, no holds barred or street fight, whatever they want to tag that match, that she's going to fucking snap and get the payback completely. So I'm all for it. Benno, if a story or has earned that, it's this feud for sure. Like, it makes total sense. I loved it. Loved it.
There's been large swathes of the characters, just not for me. I did get a chuckle out of the Shining reference, where she was like in 1924, a la Jack Nicholson. That kind of explains the mentalness there as well. Yeah. And I did then, when hearing about the Australia show, just then thought to myself, if you can hold off, and that's a massive if with AEW, because they don't like, for them to kind of hold fire on that, that's a big match that you really want to focus on in like the semi or at least the semi-main for Brisbane, because I think she's from the Gold Coast. She's from Queensland, and you just think you play up on that. That's the thing that you do there. And I didn't come away like that was the thing. I didn't come away that crowd didn't lose anything for Toni Storm through losing cleanly. They were still as hot into it at the end of the match as what they were at the beginning, and it didn't lose anything at all. So I thought it was just absolute win.
In a lot of ways, the reverse of Mariah, though. I was actually surprised there wasn't a huge real reaction to her entrance, but like you both said, by the end of the match, you know, it felt like a statement performance for her, and she came out moreover, all the imagery afterwards, she's the right winner as well. This story was overall, even with, you know, some criticism we gave it along the way, done really well. Like, not since the likes of Mickie James and Trish, Matty, is like the payoff to a story like this been done so well, even if that's been scrubbed from WrestleMania history. But yeah, Corker, I go. What would you do star rating wise? We didn't do the first match. I go 2.2 stars on the opener. I think this though, I'd probably double that and go 4, maybe 4.25. I think I'd maybe land on.
I'd go 3 on the rewatch for the opener, because I did kind of enjoy it in a ladder matchery type way. I'd go 4 for this. I was hooked. By the end, I was hooked in, even with the reservation at the beginning of like being somewhat disappointed they came out second as well, which I think that might well have impacted the kind of, it felt like too big a match to do that soon. And I think the crowd felt like it, and it's like they didn't do that reaction to the Mariah May intro, and that could have had the effect on it. But yeah, I'd go quite a comfortable 4 stars on that.
No, I'd go with you, Bell. 4.25 might even be talked into a 4.5 if I watch it back on the telly. Because honestly, like, I was sitting there like glued to this match, didn't take my eyes off it once. Like,
which
it was
isn't
so
even
well
given in a stadium, is it? It's like
this is it. That's what. Yeah, exactly. Said that to the lads. Yeah, it was like, honestly, it had me hooked, and I loved the way they structured it and just kept building the spots. And as you say, that insane like 20-second burst she done around the ring with the kiss and the drop kick and then the slap was great. And as you say, getting blood, and then the finish, like, honestly, can't speak highly enough of this one. Loved it.
Brilliant. Well, on from there, of course, we have our Chris Jericho moment, as most of us found ourselves either getting some overpriced food or in the bogs. It was unreal, the amount of people who fucked off. And that's, you know, call a spade is paid. There were also people there who were loving the high guy stuff. really get like doing even when they first said the Fozzy were going to be performing in it, was like, does that even really
fit the character?
Current character? It doesn't. He looked like such a fucking knob taking those pants off. I suppose that fits with the current character. It was just bizarre. I saw the finish of this one in person. I found like in one of the top sections, I managed to kind of sneak out while I was drinking a beer and just watched from like the walkway and saw like the big Taz moment at the end, which was great. You know, it was cool to see that and the big pop. One of those was a very big, good stadium pop that wasn't it. I enjoyed Big Bill going over. The match itself couldn't be arsed with live, to be honest, and a lot of people couldn't. Watched it back today. Didn't really get much from watching it back either. Just too long. And yeah, a way to get Jericho on the card really. And let's hope it's as it seems to be the end of the FTW title, because it was just ridiculous when it was like, yeah, Hook, he is now did they say three? Is it 2 or 3 time?
3 time
FTW champion, 3 time FTW champion. Come on, that's a belt you don't need, innit? But yeah, Hook win, so that's good. Taz got his spot in, so that's good. Match itself, 2-star for me. Don't have much more to say, lads.
I would say 2 stars. It's 10 minutes 14 seconds, and that's probably 8 minutes and 14 seconds too long.
Yeah,
I wanted this to be 2 minutes. Ending, not a problem with. He makes Jericho tap out, and Taz does the Taz mission. 2 minutes. That's what this should have been. This was just. And in some ways, if you were going to have this match on the show, there's another match afterwards, which it should have gone in really after the Ospreay MJF match. That would have been like because it was Fozzy. If there's ever a band that absolutely is a piss break band, it's them. Like they turn up. And I've got no interest.
They were supposed to be a comedy act, weren't they? When they were Fozzy or Foz, are they still going? Who buys tickets to go see them? Like.
He shell out over here though, Benno. He genuinely do. It's remarkable, really, as you say. Wrestling fans are the loyalest fans in the world, mate, even to Fozzy.
And I should say as well, the fans noticed they wanted more Big Bill. That was the
big
one
thing on the Cardiff down. I don't know how much we'll get a chance to talk about that today, but like that was. It was the collision, wasn't it? When he was massively over this weekend. Like we love a good ironic kind of person to latch onto over here, but like my God, that reaction was loud.
Yeah, This match though, lads, like it was terrible. Like when it was just like I was not saying that I couldn't take my eyes off the previous match. This one, I was just like. Just watching nothing.
Yeah, I've changed my mind. Starting off, fuck off.
Yeah, genuinely was like it was just no investment at all. The cricket balls, which look like apples, someone said, which I do like that shout.
Oh, we're in England. We better use cricket because everyone plays cricket. No, we don't.
If he was getting hit, if he was getting hit with actual cricket balls, and I'm talking even softer ones that had a good 90 overs bowled into them as well, mate, he would be fucking moving. He would have been straight over to the hospital after that, because that would have absolutely killed him as well. And I did see a bit of chat. I think it was Liam. Are they Kookaburra or are they Duke's balls? Which means nothing to you two. I appreciate that, but like it was, that kind of stuff. I was just like, even I, as a cricket fan, was like, don't fucking pander to me, you bastards, as well.
Back to Brian Keith just for JP. That's it. Your boy. Why was it the match with the gimmickry and the fucking weapons as well? It just felt so, despite being the longest feud on the show, also felt unearned and unnecessary. Yeah, awful. I think we all agree on that one. From there, we went into match number 4, which is as we go thick and fast through this card. We have the Young Bucks, FTR.
Just break down everything about like your thoughts of this one. I've been looking forward to this, honestly.
Boredom. And I love this show. I did. This is like when we did the preview, isn't it? When we were like, I'm so excited for this show. And then it was just like a murderer's row of like this section of the card. And it was like, I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to that. But I am actually looking forward to the card. Like, who could care about this AEW tag division? The post-match, we're going to spend most of our time on here because I at least care about that. The match itself, and the way they got here, I heard Cedric talk about it. It's not an original thought, but like the fucking hours of TV we went through just to get to the 3-way we all knew was coming. Young Bucks, the Beatles stuff was there for me and you, Matty. So at least there was that. FTR got a good reaction. I thought Acclaimed got an okay reaction, but like we haven't really talked about the setup of the show, the merch situation this time round. Fuck me, it was better last year. It was just all Walter. Those AEW footy shirts are a great idea, cracking, and they saw them sell a lot of them. Barely any individual wrestler merch. The one thing I did see though, Acclaim foam fingers, and how many, 3 years ago were we on the soapbox going, get those foam fingers out there, or even last year, get those foam fingers out there. Wembley will be full of them. I didn't see many of them knocking around really because I think the Acclaimed well has run a bit dry. Good reaction, not a great reaction for them here, and they feel as stale as this whole division does.
But can I just say, though, first, did anyone else nearly get deafened by Max Caster's first yo? How loud was his mic?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Mike was turned up, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Which I was going to... my highlight of the match was, and I haven't said this for a long time, was his rap. And it was particularly comparing Dax and Cash to saying they were in the EDL, which is a niche joke for the moment in time they said that.
Bit of local humour. I thought that was brilliant, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like... And the problem was I couldn't hear anything else that they had said because I was laughing after that one. I was like, I turned around to Joe and I went, fucking fair play. They've at least kept their eye on the BBC News website in the last sort of month or so to kind of get an idea of that. But after that, I couldn't have given a solitary shit about it. In fact, I may have given a solitary shit because I think I did go to the loo. It's just whatever.
It's a long shot.
A match between three teams I couldn't care about at all. And it was I was glad I was outside for the post match, and I was like, cool. And I saw them on the way back to the car, actually, in some weird back street, not near Wembley, well away from Wembley, near Perry. You have to walk quite a way to get there. And it was like, grizzled young vets there. I was just too knackered to say anything to them as well. I thought they're too knackered as well, probably. But it was very weird. Seeing some random back street. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Just knocking around the London Borough of Brent.
Looking for the Wembley number, maybe that's what they were doing, trying to get in touch with the council. Yeah, the finish was massively anticlimactic here. It's like, the Bucks win then, cool. And yeah, the biggest thing for me was seeing Grizzled Young Veterans out there. I popped for that. Love seeing Gibson and Drake there. They are they're just a great tag team, aren't they? I know we think in very early days we're giving Drake a lot of grief as Gibson's partner, but got great chemistry as a team. The only thing I would say is I can't believe they weren't given a mic, especially at Wembley in the UK. When's the next time they're going to be in the UK for Gibson to cut that promo? Again, I guess timing is an issue there, but it was a genuinely nice surprise. I haven't seen him, the last night at the Copperbox, Matty, and your mate Zach Gibson getting his quote unquote Wembley moment here. So at least there's that to pull out of this, 2.75 to 3-star. I'd say 3-star epic. The teams are good quality.
I was going to say that.
I just didn't care.
That literally, I was going to say that, because the match in there, I thought
the mechanics.
Nick Jackson for me, had one of his better nights I've seen him have in I don't know how long. He was back to the old Nick Jackson. I was saying, fucking hell, he's had the shreddies this morning. He was proper up for it. And then, I just say, it's just that investment, Benno, a shit build. I knew the Bucks were going to win. It was a foregone conclusion for me that they were going to win. So even that wasn't really a thing. But then, as you say, the aftermath, which I loved as well, the fact of they could have just went straight to the Bucks for that. But I like the way they got out, because that Grizzled Young Vets v fucking FTR match screams like an half an hour epic on Collision, doesn't it? Main event, it does that. And it'll be great though. That's what I mean. It'll be a really good tag match. That.
I was just grateful to see that at least Grizzled Young Vets are there, just because it's something fresh in the tag division. You were talking about the Bang Bang Gang earlier on. I thought to myself during this match, I wouldn't mind seeing the Guns out there just for some kind of different novelty value. Yeah, because they're three teams that are they're all stale in different ways, and I feel slightly more sorry for FTR because they are better workers, but we've seen that shtick a lot, and this was. We said it a number of times. Obviously, the original plan probably would have been to do Bucks versus Edge and Christian, but at least some sort of plunder style match or whatever, and that could have been a lot of fun. But instead, we got this, and it just sort of summed up the tag division for me. And I was just grateful afterwards. I thought, at least we're moving on in a different direction with another tag team. Thank heaven for small mercies.
Yeah, you've talked me into a 3.25 there, Matty. I think it's probably too harsh to go much lower, but you guys?
3.
Yeah, I'll go 3, Ben. Keep it up. Keep it up. 3.
There we go. Well, if we're a bit of a downer there, lads, this is where I'm getting up. As we went from there into the Casino Gauntlet match. fuck me. But I was going to say this was the highlight of the show. This was the highlight of the night. This was the highlight of my lad's life. This was like, you talk. Not even getting into the individual people, which we will get into. We'll probably have to go into them one by one here because it just fucking goes and goes and goes, this thing, as far as my investment in the match itself. But like, this is a match made for stadium wrestling. AEW have stumbled upon their Royal Rumble here.
Yep.
Like, the only issue is this is the third one this year, and it might not even be the last, knowing Tony Khan. Like, you need to stop, and you need to go, when we have a stadium, we run this. Or, when we have All In every year, we run this. Come up with a rule. Because this fucking was one of the best live experiences I've ever had watching a match. I absolutely fucking love this. This format, Matt, is literally they're doing WWE better than WWE. This is the entrance pot match. It really is. Like, I said on Twitter. Like, that is exactly what they're doing here, and it fucking, you know, again, you said there about Toni and Mariah. That was a unique stadium match where you're paying attention to the detail and stuff like that. But it's hard to keep that up across a 4-hour stadium show. What really works in stadiums is stuff like this, and lads, out of body experience this thing was. We'll go through the people in there, but like this should be AEW's match now, because I can't think of a live experience I've had like it.
I think I immediately went to you. I was like, it's like they've done the Royal Rumble, but they've decided to use Ring of Honor as the template for it, or Legends.
The Royal
of
Rumble
Ring of
with
Honor.
near falls. Like, what a great idea for modern wrestling. Like,
There is and I agree with you. Like, conceptually, they have stumbled across. I mean, you think of those casino battle royals, and they were just a waste of time, and the cards and all that bollocks. This one, conceptually, they found it. I thought to myself, what you could do as a little twist is you still end it on a pinfall, but people can be eliminated if they go over the top rope. And you kind of
you're waiting for the pinfall, aren't you, JP?
Every time someone did something off the top to the outside, I was like, have they Mil-Mascaris themselves? Are they eliminated?
Yeah.
Like, my brain can't turn that off. Like, I kind of get what you mean, but I don't know. I like the, you know, that there's just one fall.
I'm not being that guy, because honestly, Ben, I agree with everything you said. Like, this, laughing our heads off. Like, we're having such a great time. But the only thing is you wait, like, you know it's not going to be over, don't you? After like 3 entries, there's going to be another 10 entrants. So it's like, if you can stumble upon another little rule thing to fit in, then it is amazing. But
and there seems to be no rule as well, based on like who comes out when. Like, it's a 10-second interval, then it's like a 2-minute
5
interval.
minutes. If two wrestlers are going back and forth, it's like 20 minutes.
And they have said there's no rule, but I don't know how there can be no rule.
Who cares though? At the same time, who gives a shit when it's that fun? Genuinely, as a
I don't know. The Mark Briscoe one took the piss. That was less than 30 seconds, and it was like, what? He's fucking out here now as well. But that's gripes, because, like you say, just the pops, mate. The fuck.
Let's build up. Let's build our way there. Orange Cassidy was first out. Like, again, I'm not a Mr. Bean guy, but that was fucking great.
That was amazing.
I didn't realize at first what they were doing, because I don't just, you know.
You didn't know?
It's Americans who follow Mr. Bean in it, not necessarily us. But obviously, you know, watched it when I was a kid and stuff like that. And when I realized what it was and watched it back, like, that was a cool thing to do in it. Orange Cassidy was gigantically over, as he always is. Like, what a AEW success story he is, you know. We give them kick-ins for the people who haven't been made stars in this company. That's a man that's been made a star in this company. It looked like it when he came out.
I was saying that in the car on the way home, Benno, nearly crying about him. That's Tony Khan's biggest, like, I know he's not his original creation, but his success story. He's protected so well. He's always featured, and he's always over, and he's got that cool, and considering how much, let's be honest, when we first seen him, he was a laughing stock, really, wasn't he, to wrestling? Look at him now. He's one of the most over revered wrestlers in the world. You've got to tip your hat to Orange Cassidy. Seriously, fucking fair play to him.
Yeah, incredible. Even with the single solitary, like, kind of firework going up, and it was one
even
of them
from the roof, JP, off the roof of Wembley. That was incredible. That was like, you can do so much stuff with them, can't you?
Yeah, but that was great.
Well, that was a big pop. The second man who came out, like, I've got a question. Is New Japan like a bigger deal here than we thought? You know, when you go back to like the Ospreay pop last year and catching us all by surprise and going, how's everyone here seen him? How do they all know him already? I know he's been on AEW TV, but it blew us away the strength of the reaction last year. And I half joke, I don't think it is that. But you look at like Okada, like, that was a bigger reaction than he's ever gotten in AEW. Like, everyone to a man were on the feet, treating him like the world's biggest superstar because Yujiro Okada has just walked out. Like, what you put that down to? I don't know. The surprise of him being in the match, I suppose. He wasn't announced, was he? But, like, it was huge.
It was funny because there was a lot of talk, wasn't it? And particularly Dave Meltzer on this one, where he was saying, "Why is he coming out in this match? If he's going to be on this match on the card, it's kind of waste." And I was there thinking after that pop, going, "No, this is exactly the place he wanted to be." And as well, I saw this point being raised in front of the largest crowd he would have wrestled in front of. He'd never wrestled in front of that many people in New Japan, not at the Dome. Like, I mean, you know, may have been, and were they as hot for him as what they were here? People around me lost their fucking minds, and I was like, I'm just missing something here. He just seems to be, like you say, massively over. And hey, the hug with
that was brilliant.
The hug with Orange Cassidy was fucking tremendous.
Yeah, there you go. That was the best he's looked, or the most over he's been, or like the most it seemed to have clicked. Just make Okada one of your UK stars. Just unreal. That was great. Kyle O'Reilly was out next. Less to say about him. You got to have some names and people in there. Is it Zack Sabre Jr. that's next? Or no, I've skipped one here. The big one was before Kyle O'Reilly. Sorry, the write up we've got here has missed the important one, lads. When I'm saying on this night, tears hit my eyes, I would say 4 different times in this night. This was the biggest one. JP, can you log into the GRAPPL archives and can you delete every shitty comment I said about the idea of putting Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness on this All In card? I was wrong. They should have fucking done it, because that, speaking of big reactions, that reaction when Oasis hit, which like is timely, unbelievably so in the end. 2, maybe it was just the Nigel McGuinness name on there. Maybe people didn't recognise the number. But 2, the amount of people that popped for Nigel McGuinness, similar to Okada, it was like, hang on, have all these people seen Nigel wrestle? They probably haven't. Like, I saw somebody say that. If you put together all the numbers of every ROH show that Nigel, let's maybe just do the ones where he was world champion, or the ones where like he was on top. I don't think it had actually hit 50,000, or it's a close number to the amount of, you know, people who possibly ever saw him there. He got that hero's welcome. He came out looking like a 20-year-old body wire, so he'd clearly been working on it. So me jokes about seeing him limping around with his magician's gear, didn't age well either. Honest to God, as soon as I saw him, everything was forgotten for me. And I was like, it's fucking Nigel McGuinness coming out to Oasis. I was fucking mess, lads. I was a soppy mess seeing him come out there. What an unbelievable moment for him, as a person, but like what an unbelievable reaction for it. And in the words of you, Matty, you know, Nigel, are you supposed to know who that is? I think you know who it is now.
Can I just say first and foremost, like he looked amazing, right? And when he got in there and started wrestling, it's like he hadn't missed a fucking beat. We were all just like,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Maybe we were all blinded from how far away, but he looked like he was fucking having the time of his life. And fair play to him, like, as you say, but for the person to get back in there and wrestle in front of that many fucking people in your own country, fair fucks. And for me, as I say, he looked great. Looked like he hadn't missed nothing for me anyway. And, you know, fair fucks. Like, even if that's his last appearance, like, he can go out.
It won't be.
Don't you think? No chance.
How did none of us predict it? Like, it makes all the sense in the world. Or did you? Did you say?
I said it on Tuesday. I said it.
Right.
I thought it'd be like McAfee, as in he comes out from the.
Oh yeah, he did.
And it was more for fucking laugh to see your reaction than anything else. I don't think it would actually fucking.
I didn't take it seriously. Jesus.
Neither did I really, even for saying it. And then, I was with Joe, and he just lost his fucking mind for that.
I was messaging him immediately. This show's for us. This is really the show for the sickos. It's like everything forgotten. I was just like, it's Nigel and he's back. Like, unreal. And it was unreal.
And it was the best place, because as we saw, the length of time the longer he was in there, the more things didn't quite click in. Really,
which is interesting. I thought at first he looked a bit ropey, like he was just a step off in like some of his execution. Maybe it's having seen him at his prime. Maybe it's judging him too harshly. It was, getting back. But he did look gassed. Like, I agree with that as time went on. He looked like he was blowing out his arse a little bit. But Yeah, this is why AEW should exist for moments like sickos like me who watched, was there front row watching him and Bryan at the Liverpool Olympiad in front of 50 times less people than this. Get a payoff like this. I shouldn't be fighting against the chuddy. I'm fighting against myself. He's 100% working Bryan. Wrestle Dream, as Hogan says there. Like he's gonna work a full match, I think, and yeah.
But not just the way he adapted in there. I mean, from the fact of he didn't just come in and half-ass it, like JP was saying, like he come in and do a couple of spots. He went in there and worked with everyone, didn't he? Is what I'm trying to say as well. He went in and took it serious. He weren't just coming for the comedy or the novelty value. He actually went in there and worked, JP. Like honestly, after played him.
He did, and it was ultimately it was like the perfect way of introducing him back into the mix as well. You can get round to the Bryan stuff as well. It ticks that box of Bryan's run where he'll get to have a match with Nigel. And it'll mean something in the States because of Nigel's commentary and everything else. Although you'd like to have that match over here, really, preferably in Liverpool if there was any justice. But
only people who should be allowed to go are the ones who were there the first time. I think, like all the middle-aged men moaning about teenage girls getting Oasis tickets instead of them. I'm going to be one of them. Like, no, you can't come if you can't name all of Nigel's pure title defenses. You're not allowed in that building. That should be a rule on the door. They should trivia. Oh, crazy. And like, obviously, they're going into that bit of interaction with Kyle O'Reilly, who just came out. The Zack Sabre Jr. moment, like that was another big pop coming off the G1. Yeah. I've had that song in my head like for the last 2 days now. The Zack Sabre Jr. TMDK song, but again, it's not something I ever visualized in my head. This is why it's AEW's Royal Rumble. Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel McGuinness going face to faces to big British wrestlers who haven't ever worked together. Like Nigel, was a big star in the indies, but the American indies, not the British ones in his time. And it was always a bit of a work when he'd be on NXT UK commentary going, given the history of all these guys, because he rubbed shoulders with them. He didn't. He barely spent any time. He did his retirement run here, and he did a bit of Utlands, but he didn't really work with any of the indie guys. So, like, that was, like, what a cool moment that was as well. And that was probably the most comfortable I thought Nigel looked all match in there, exchanging moves with Zack Sabre Jr. But yeah, I had a gigantic grin on my face for that, Matty. Andy Ryan says here, I can organise the bus. This was like, I said to Jamesy, this is like the Benno bus gauntlet. Like fucking Roddy Strong coming out, Mark Briscoe coming out next. Both people also on the bus. I was annoyed Prince Nana didn't get introduced. Could have put Matt Sydal in there. Again, what a fucking murderer's row of people there. Mark Briscoe was another one that I popped for being in there, Matty. He's like not as high up in the card as Eddie Kingston is in AEW, rightly, but you can feel when he came out that same kind of love that people have for Eddie Kingston again.
100%.
And it's not necessarily people who grew up watching Mark Briscoe or on the Benno bus or were watching ROH in the mid 2000s. There's just something so lovable about him, like the real life story obviously comes into it as well. It was perfect spot for him too in this match.
How can you not like him? Like he's got everything, and he's just that character. He's great in there as well. As you say, he's just lovable, isn't he? He's that type of wrestler that everyone likes. And this match is like, it's just a Ring of Honor proper tribute. But you must have been having, like you said there, the greatest time.
Having an out of body experience, mate. I was just like, who's Special K coming up next? That's what I was hoping for. He wouldn't have done much chain wrestling, like, but
but it carries on. Who's next out? Another, like, I know he's not your ROH, but Adam Page is there next, isn't he? Hangman there in there, and
how do you feel about the theme? I was so into the match in the moment. Maybe I was just being like, I wanted to hear the old Hangman theme when it came out. I watched it back on video with the more sinister theme, I think, probably suits the gimmick now, and it didn't. It actually, in reality, when I watched it back, I was like, that didn't hurt the pop. If anything, it made it more. When he came out, with a cause and a reason to be there, it was like, business has picked up, and it did. Just elevated the match even further, didn't it?
It just raised the overall, like, kind of star quality of this as well. It's like, actually, this is one of their proper headliner who's in this match, and we'd had the kind of like the bigger pops, but from people who aren't always at the top of the card, and it's like, that Hangman is going into a massive match all out as well from this. You know that he's going to be. You pretty much suspect this wouldn't be his only appearance on the show. I'm not mad on the theme. I'll just say that, but that just might be because I got so used to it. I liked his theme for it.
The other one was a classic, wasn't it? His old theme.
It came across great on the TV when I went back.
Yeah, that's what I thought compared to being there live, but that was great. And then following Hangman, of course, Jess, like The pop. And again, we were all having the time of our lives in this match. We're going to spend more time in this match than we will anything else in the show, and it fucking deserves it. But like, the pot when Jeff came out, it was like, as a country, I think we just all unanimously love Jeff, don't we? It's gone, like we said, when he came to, he's another one, when he came to AEW, it felt like our love of Jeff was, let's all say, ironic, if anything, JP. We love him, but we also were like, I don't know if that's a good idea for AEW. I think we all just love him now. And it was clear from that stadium, it is just a British thing, because fuck, he got a great pop as well on the Dynamite and a Collision taping too. But good Lord, was this gigantic. I saw his ears are bleeding near Matty, the amount of references he's getting today, but Hamflet getting packed, like stood in the crowd. I bet you were doing that, JP, as well, stood in the crowd, throwing up the peace signs as Jeff came out. Like, I wish I'd seen it. Unbelievable.
Between me, Joe, and all the guys we were sat with, I lost my fucking shit at this point as well. And the crowd doing it. And then I started to think, this is the most over he's ever been. Because I'm pretty sure 20 years ago we were going, this guy's past it. Why is he building a program?
He was hated, JP, on the forums. He was,
and as a babyface, he's never been over to anywhere close to this level on any
breaking days, JP.
But it's worked, and he's in, let's face it, a hell of a lot better shape than Chris Jericho, and he's older. Yeah. And it just absolutely makes me want to see that feud with Hangman Page, because obviously that's the first guy he's in there with as well. So it just played so well into the storyline, and it was just like a perfect addition for this. And it was a deserved Jeff on the card. It wasn't Jeff finagling his way onto a card when he really shouldn't have been there, which you could argue about last year, that being the case. And he was doing the fucking pre-show. I didn't watch the pre-show, obviously, as I said earlier, but I did see when I saw the 0 hour bit on YouTube, I was like, oh God, he was hosting that as well, like at the very beginning. Fair fucks, absolute legend.
Guitar shot as well, though. We've seen that guitar shot in person. Unbelievable.
Amazing. Those fucking guitars made of sand. They're just like, we just accept it now, don't we? But again, you're right. Seeing one in real life. Well, saying that, I think we got one on the pre-show last year, but not as good as seeing it here properly on the main show. And from there out next, making his AEW debut, and people again reacted to this one very quickly, was Ricochet. And obviously the news had broken. We never got a chance to talk about it late last week that he was coming into AEW, and I've actually heard mixed things on whether debuting AEW, making his AEW debut here was a good shout or not for Ricochet. In the moment, I loved it. Thought it was a great addition to the match. A great way to again add to the anything can happen in these casino matches. A bit like a rumble as well. Again, compared to a rumble, got some big spots in there because you can do that in this match as well. To be honest, I might have been tempted to have him win. It's the only thing, as we'll get into the next couple of entrants that derail that as well. But I don't know, with Ricochet, the reason I say that is like, maybe making him win is the type of thing we might complain about, going on, they brought to WWE mid-carder and he won straight away. So I get that too. I suppose my argument would just be, I don't think he's going to be this over for his entire AEW run. So while it's hot, I'd do the hot matches. I'd do the Bryan match now. I'd do the matches. I'd do the, I'd use the buzz of him coming in to do the Ospreay match quickly. I'd be putting him into those spots right away. But and maybe the jury's out on whether this was the way to introduce him or not.
I would be in favour of introducing him this way. Like, I thought in the main, what did it achieve? Did he lose anything by not winning the match? Not really, because there's so many other people.
Again, there's no eliminations. You can get away with it, can't you?
Yeah, you can get away with it. So he's like completely hidden from that. He got his shit in. He looks good.
Old shit. Stuff he's got desperate to do that he hasn't done in a while.
And he looked absolutely pumped for it as well. And it just felt that it was more. If you look at that pop on TV then in future weeks, and you look at how the crowds kind of reacted to it and how much of a big deal that it felt, you think to yourself, well, you're starting him off hot at least. At least you're doing that initial kind of like big push of him. And I agree with you. He won't always be this over. And, when he gets on the mic, he's not known for that, is he? So that's
not the best on the stick, is he, Trev?
This is
which you don't have to do in this company, I guess. You can just, match. But I think Kyle Fletcher is working this week right away.
Yeah, as an introduction.
That's sorry, JP, but that's what you're going to get that match. But for me, it's one of them where it's like, yeah, it was. I agree with you with this, that Royal Rumble type surprise, Ben. But it was like the 17th thing that I remember from this show, and about the 10th thing in this match, because Nigel and Jeff Jarrett, you know what I mean? So it's kind of swept under for me, and no one's really talking about it. Hence why, obviously, you're going to get that showcase match with Fletcher, which is right on Dynamite. But do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you're not talking about that at all. It's way down the list of things you're talking about.
That's true. That's true. I mean, my argument against it or for it would be, AJ Styles debuted in a WWE Rumble, and that was, a great way to introduce him. The ways you can do it, I think it'll be fine. But if anything, I'd maybe putting him over a little bit stronger. But that was another big moment. And again, wasn't moaning in the moment. Absolutely loving it in the moment. But then the match took a left turn because it was just joy after joy after joy, tears and fucking cheers, and just, I was so happy during this match. And then Christian came out, which was a bit of a head scratcher. It was like, I've already seen him tonight. That's strange. Here comes Christian. I'll go to you for the positive in a second, Matty, because after Christian, out comes Killswitch. Or is it Killswitch, as we got Luchasaurus on the screen? And I'll be honest, I didn't pick up on it right away that this was supposed to be like a tease that, he's not Killswitch anymore. He's Luchasaurus, therefore he's going to turn on Christian. I just thought they fucked up. I just assumed AEW, innit? Whatever. They've just called them the wrong name here. Doesn't really mean anything. And then I think you're going to get the positive end of this, Matty, but I thought this was a wet fart of a finish going with these two. Maybe if Christian hadn't already been on the card, I know there's story there that makes it work. Maybe if I was even halfway invested in the Luchasaurus and Christian drama, because it feels like, is it me, or do they just dust this off every 6 months? Every 6 months they go, we're going to act like he's Kane with fucking Tori or whatever the angle was in WWE, and we'll tease Luchasaurus is going to turn again, and then another 6 months will go by and they'll just forget that's even a thing. Is anyone really invested in whether Killswitch is going to turn on Christian or not? So I didn't really buy or care about the drama there, and then it was just, the heels won, there goes our fun. I wonder if the people who put this together would even say, you know what, that was such a feel good match, maybe we should have had a feel good finish, because as well, I like Christian these days. Connor was saying he was disappointed that when he did his King of the Mountain, I wasn't angry because he chose Christian, because I've turned round on him. But I just don't think Christian and Bryan is that interesting. I've seen it before. I know not everyone has, but it's not. Well, I suppose they would have in WWE too as well. But it feels very B pay-per-view for me if that turns out to be the all-out match. And just kind of a bit of a drab moment to end the match for me. Matty, you can talk me round if you want, but
no.
Yeah. And I had such a great time until it didn't kill it for me. It was still a great experience, as I'm sure the audio was given away.
I can't disagree or argue with what you said about the fact of the whole layout with the ROH kind of thing and the feel good. But then I'm the opposite. I fucking love Christian. Then I was popping so much for him. Got Gareth to take fucking his entrance, stuff and that. I love him, don't I? So I was just laughing.
Was that Gareth's job?
I thought my phone's shit, innit? My phone's crap. Gareth's got a proper good iPhone, so it's standard. But anyway, it's but it is. But even I just love the fact Christian won, and it fits his character. That he's a cunt. And is this like a cash in? Is it, or have you got to announce your? I don't know the rules. I think it is a cash-in type. Is it? Have they not said? But even for me, it's someone might explain if it come across better on the telly. Yes. Even with the Luchasaurus thing, is so they were telling us that they were going to work us, and then they didn't work us. You know what I mean?
But it's also the convenience of Luchasaurus.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's even I was it's a bit too much, that, lads. As a man who can kind of shut off with wrestling and accept it, it was even that was a bit too much. So you planned on, you're telling the fans that you are going to turn soon, but you didn't on this night, even though it looked like it was just a bit weird in that sense, but I still was the only person in that section jumping up and down with Christian Wood, so I've got to give it that, because and it's the story, Ben, but yeah, where does it go? Are we building to that big match down the line, Christian and fucking Luchasaurus? It's just mad, isn't it? It's mad.
In isolation, there's potentially very funny promos that Christian can cut along the way, and you already seen in my head, it sounds a terrible thing, I was going, Bryan Danielson's dad's dead, isn't he? I was like, okay, so we know exactly where all of this is going in terms of the promo direction. But it was, like you say, the problem is
2023 is that
I think that has gone a bit past it now for all that, isn't it?
we've had the match already in AEW, as it's been pointed out here on the chat. The way that the finish was, it was like you'd had this kind of match built up of these like kind of like amazing moments and amazing pops, and then the ending kind of had none of that. It was like, say, a left field turn. It was just like
deflated around me. It
was
really was the
deflated.
finish. It was really.
People weren't excited when Luchasaurus came out. I don't think they gave a shit if he managed to turn on Christian.
Well, I was thinking Moxley was coming. Were you?
I
was thinking.
Moxley.
I think Oku was
I had
coming.
Shane McMahon in my head. I was wanting to come out.
Shane, I didn't even think of Shane. I only saw someone theorize that afterwards, and I'm glad because I'd have been so disappointed when it didn't happen. Although, logically they probably shouldn't do that for many reasons. But I thought Mox, and yeah, like JP said it afterwards, I was like, that would have been a good spot for Oku if he's coming in, make him look like a star. Yeah, that would have been nice. But yeah, Luchasaurus gets a spot.
It was the length of time when I watched it back as well, between him doing the choke slam to Kyle O'Reilly, who again ate the pin, and then how long it took for him to put Christian on top. I was just like, it made the whole thing. It did feel like a wet fart. It was like somewhat deflating in the section I was.
Yeah, and but obviously Moxley's not coming back anytime soon because I saw his wife and child and mother-in-law knocking around Wembley, and he couldn't be asked coming over for this or for the end screen. So yeah, doesn't bode well for his current situation in AEW. I will say this was a little. If this match was ROH fan service, ROH, that's how we roll, was one of Christian's 2 ROH appearances, and he did work Danielson, but it was in a tag with Colt Cabana and AEW Commissioner Christopher Daniels. I'm sure you're going to be running out to watch that one.
Law, man.
There we go. We get the 2024 version probably coming up. But there we go. Oh, what a fucking time!
What an experience! Like, genuinely,
it's the match we spent the most time on for a reason. Like, I love it. Could you give it a star rating? I don't know. I can give it a stadium rating. I don't know. As a match, it almost, it's like an NA one, isn't it? It's not like one Meltzer to give sometimes. But it's just like, it was fun. I don't think I need to star rate it.
Nah. There was some spots in there, a lot of which I can barely remember now at this stage, and I watched it again today. But ultimately, it's probably like stadium rating. You'd go close to 5 for like some of the feels again.
Having a great time, like watching a match. Like
I'll go 3.5 to be generous.
Yeah, everything was, especially for someone like you, Ben, who's seen, you know what I mean, who's got that history with them all. Like, and if I'm swept up in it, if I'm swept up, you must have been, I say, just having the time of your life, mate. Brilliant.
Genuinely. Wouldn't be the last time, but like, I'm genuine tears in my eyes seeing that Nigel moment, and we'll see where it goes. I've got to say as well, great line from Taz. Does this mean I have to work Saturdays? Like, that was great. And the way they did it, we haven't really talked about the commentary. Obviously, I haven't watched it back now. The sleight of hand was brilliant, using, much I did want to see it, the Jericho and Hook match to pull Nigel out and put Taz in the booth, and then just not put Nigel back. Imagine that. Imagine coming back for your first match in fucking 15 years or whatever the number is, and like, you've got to spend half the show doing commentary. I was bricking just doing our live show on Saturday morning. Imagine that for him. Having to plan for his match and do that too. Very well done. But there we go. Brilliant stuff. Great entertainment. And again, one of the only negatives on the show for me was that I needed the break, and I feel like I need one now after that match. And we just went, maybe because of the amount of time that match took, we went straight into the next match when I think we could have all done with a bit of a breather. And yeah, the next one was Will Ospreay and MJF in our America versus UK war, sponsored by GRAPPL, apparently, with some of the promo content in this one. I do think if I had my time again at the live show, I would definitely ask Ospreay, was the Sit It Bang reference from JP? Because I reckon it was. That's the Barry Scott reference. Fucking Gavin and Stacey as well, he threw in there on that Cardiff Dynamite. Like, why does this work so well? Why is Ospreay like a British, not caricature, but very, he's leaning into a couple of stereotypes and just making it work and making it be, a great babyface character. Like, I thought he was better than MJF on the mic on Dynamite this week in the go home to this match. It's probably the best thing on the show.
Oh yeah. He was incredible in the promo. I did ask Joe about this. I was going, did you mention Sillet Bang? Because I know he would have come
Barry
up.
Scott was definitely the name of a spotlight at one point. Like, yeah,
it was, and I'm pretty sure we did a spotlight called Gavin and Stacey. I'd be amazed if that isn't the case. Like, if we haven't done that as well. But yeah, and very Assassin's Creed heavy entrance that he went
Yeah.
with there as well. He fucking
That
loves
looked boss
those
on
matches.
telly though. That looked really
did,
good
it
on
looked
TV.
great on TV.
Well, God. And I was thinking, less like what 24 hours earlier, he was sitting on a stage with us, and then he's gone out there and done an incredible entrance in front of like 50,000 people. It's just insanity. It is. Oh.
MJF entrance was good as well. They'll never learn with that, with putting the not the pyro, what you call it, the party poppers or whatever they are.
Streamers.
That were hanging from the streamers. Yeah,
He got caught,
that was,
didn't he? A lot of them.
I'm sure with the books, like come on, learn your lesson.
No, I'll be honest.
Um,
I lost my fucking shit when MJF come out. Like honestly, when I
cheering for the American flag, mate. You were saluting.
mate, and when that big flag come down when he done his pose in the ring, I was gone. I was jumping up like that, like I was. People must have thought I was American, Benno, genuinely. But yeah, it was. I don't know why. It gets took over sometimes, guys. Where like I just hear the music, as we all do, and I just lost my shit for him. But the match itself, guys, what do we reckon, Ben? What do you reckon on this one? Like,
it was a tough one because in the building I wasn't ready for it. I just wasn't. Like it was just all of my energy had been sapped by the Battle Royal. I don't like the placement of this match. I think it should have been later in the card. I think there should have been they should have known they'd need a buffer after the gauntlet because the crowd felt quiet. And maybe the argument is, well, if anyone can pull them out of it, it's going to be, these two big stars in this match. But I just wouldn't have put them in the position in the first place. So I struggled with it live. I enjoyed it more on tape, I would say. Live, I just, didn't have the energy for it, maybe is the phrase to go with it. They got me eventually. I bought on the near falls. I've hated the Tiger Driver 91 stuff, and I've said it a lot of times. Again, reminds me of some old Progress stories, really, and I don't think it's fully made narrative sense. With the move supposedly being a death move. But again, you'd say story, Matty. If you're going to pay off a story, then
of course, it was always happening. Yeah,
you had to do it here, didn't you?
And
maybe the ends justify the means, or however you want to put it, because that spot was massively over, and I think they got them in the end, I suppose, is my take. But yeah, what say you, JP? Did you have a similar experience?
Similar to you, live, I wasn't mad about this match up to the ending where I was kind of fully invested as well. And when they'd done the Daniel Garcia stuff in there at the same time, it was probably when I watched it back on tape and I could actually appreciate some of the stuff that was going on, because I could, again, you could see it properly. You could see it better with the sort of the tombstone to the outside. And I thought some of that stuff was great. And a lot better as a match on tape. I think again, I agree with you. The ends justify the means. They had to get to the point where you give Ospreay that big moment. You're setting up MJF's next feud. I assume I know it's not been reported that Daniel Garcia is re-signing, but I have to assume that is the case. I'm just probably with you in the sense I would have liked to have seen this as the semi-main. This would have been that would have been the place for it. It would have been like that because you knew you were going to get big entrances and everything else. And I think there was just the crowd had been kind of exhausted by the Casino Battle Royal. And then we're going straight into this. And I think that's probably
it's like just those mid-90s shows where the world title match would follow the Royal Rumble. And it's like, come on, no one wants to see a world title match. No. Like, they've seen the Royal Rumble. Yeah. There was a bit of that. You know what? I agree with James here.
I was about to say it. Yeah.
I felt like the Ospreay sections were better than the MJF sections. Like, I felt like there were two different matches happening at different points in this. Then I thought, so what you were about to say, Matt?
No, I think Gareth's rubbing off on me awfully so much. Like, because I did overall, once it got going near the end, it was fucking brilliant. And I loved the finish and stuff like that. And just everyone wanted to see MJF get dropped on his fucking head. But I just think the next stuff, sorry, Will, was a little bit too much with the tombstone on the floor into the fucking Panama on the apron. And then it just kind of I don't know, it was just a bit too much for me on that. And I was thinking, well, sitting next to Gareth as well, he was like, well, come on, you've just got up after being tombstone on the floor. Do you know what I mean? But if you could, no, seriously, but then it was just a bit too much. But then once
the counter was great, wasn't it? But I can see that.
Yeah, but then after but once it did get going at the normal stretch and stuff, fucking hell, it's hooking you in. It can't not hook you in. It was so good, you know what I mean? And some of the stuff Ospreay does though, and I called them the Man City of wrestling. That's because Man City are the best, JP. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, you said you found them boring, so
shit.
But you like big money.
But once he gets going with the stuff with the fucking run up moonsaults into the kicks, into the spinning kick off the ropes, yeah, I've seen that a million times by him, but it still marvels me that spot. It's insane how he can do it. Like, and I thought MJF as well. I thought he was all right in this, Benno. I think maybe I don't know if you're going too harsh on him there. I think he did live up to it here as well. To be fair,
it wasn't as I wasn't as disconnected from the MJF bits in this match as I was the silly Owl match, which the more I sat with that, the less I liked it. And a lot of it is because it's just weird having MJF be the character he is, go out there and all of a sudden he's a work rate guy, for an hour. Like, there's just he's trying to do too many ideas as always with MJF. Too many things in one match, and there were elements of that here, but don't know. I thought it was on the low end of my expectations, I would say, JP. But again, tired crowd may be part of it. The reactions were great, for the entrances. Got to be said how fucking over Ospreay was again on the night, and how over MJF was too as well. But again, like I say, the crowd went all the way with it until the moments Matty mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going style rating. I'm saying 3.75 for this, and I think I generally agree. The ends justify the means. Point I did want to raise: did you know who the cameraman was who got knocked out by the hidden blade?
I do, yeah.
Who was it?
With the undies and the socks.
With the undies and the socks, Chuck Mambo.
Both of them were on the show, weren't they? TK Cooper got taken out by Man Page in the main event too. But yeah, when I found that out, I was like, how did they not figure? Like, literally, that was a running joke, wasn't it? Why is that cameraman wearing, luminous boxies or whatever they were? Because it's Chuck Mambo is the answer, isn't it? But of course, Chuck Mambo wears undies like that.
But once again, the biggest compliment I can give Ospreay is the fact of, I might find his matches not the best, but he's one of the better TV characters in the entire wrestling world, not just WWE. You know what I mean? I honestly can't believe how well he's come across as a TV character. So that's the highest compliment I can give him.
I'm glad the feud's over, I'll say. I'm glad I didn't really, relish seeing Daniels, but, getting rid of the US belt and just making it the international belt again. Let's just fucking move on. MJF's just going to be like, I don't care about America after all, you're all cunts. Go back to that. Though
at one point did we all click on that was going to be Daniel Garcia? Because I thought it was Adam Cole at first, I'll be honest. Did we all know it was Garcia?
I actually thought it was going to be Michael Oku at one point, to be honest with you.
That's an interesting point. Like, I was pretty sure it was Garcia, but like Steph asked Tony Khan after the show at the presser, does that mean Daniel Garcia is back? And Tony Khan was so evasive that I think the answer is no. He hasn't re-signed, and I was say that Tony Khan was like, well, he's back, so that's a good sign, but he wouldn't commit to saying he's re-signed. So interesting, but that seems like Garcia's probably made this choice, but I'm not 100% concrete on that based on the non-answer.
Or it's the way of going, look, we will put you in there against the top tier talent and you won't be saddled with the baggage of Chris Jericho or anything else. And it's like a kind of, look, this is what you could have if you signed with us. Just that kind of like willing them in. But also, if you have MJF destroy him and he's not signing, and it's just a way of sort of culminating that feud and tying that knot together. I appreciated it from a storyline perspective. Because at least, and it also was an easy out for MJF, wasn't it, to lose? I don't want to get into the main event stuff, but it was like, okay, you've kind of put in a little handy plot device that at least gives that believability of the kind of distraction finish that he ends up causing. So I was all right with it. And again, like a lot of things with this, the crowd loved it. Like, this crowd were eating this shit up towards the end, and they had Daniel Garcia stuff, so it worked.
3.75 for me as well. But moving on from there, we had a couple of matches that did feel like, because of the amount of stuff that had just happened, and I think the comparative investment I think people did in the end having in Ospreay and MJF. I think Mercedes and Britt Baker was one of the big sufferers on this card from the overstuffed nature of it. I saw some of this, but I have to admit, I was one of the people who was just like, I've just watched the gigantic gauntlet match, didn't have time to do anything right into the Ospreay MJF match because I didn't want to not be in my seat for that. And I had to take the opportunity. I had to be one of those people. And I watched it back on VOD and maybe liked it a little bit more than I did, but something just didn't really click for me. I can't imagine we'll spend half the time on this we did on the others, because it also felt like this one and the next match, they were definitely looking to shave some minutes off and shave some time off. And yeah, just something about it.
Well,
Mercedes
wait,
and Britt
well,
Baker was.
no, sorry to jump in. Like, this is the match I need to go in hard on. Like, this was the one for me. Like, 17 minutes, Ben. Didn't have that much time shaved off it.
No, fair enough.
It was 17 fucking minutes. Like, JP, this dragged and dragged. What the fuck was this? Like, I'm no, seriously, like, and I know, and I'm more on Sasha here, sorry, Monet, because Britt Baker, to be fair, has just come back from a near-death experience. So, you know, fair play to her for getting in the ring. Sasha, I keep saying Sasha Banks, sorry. Monet's got to be the most overhyped, overrated wrestler on the fucking planet. Like, she's awful. What the hell's happened to her? What has gone on? No, she is, Benno. She has digressed so much. Like, honest, no, lads, I mean, you think Jericho match had people going, we were all in amazement. You should have seen the lines going to the bar and the bog for this. It was, and to be fair, like, maybe you're right there, Ben. The way it was laid out, they maybe didn't get a chance after the gauntlet into MGF, so people might have been needing that piss or that was dry, mate. But this was, honestly, this was shocking. I can't stress how much. This was terrible. Like, one of the worst I've seen in I don't know how long this one. Sitting there, as you say, the opposite to the Toni and Mariah match. I was glued to that. This one, we were like, is this still fucking going on? Oh, JP, like, sorry, but terrible.
For me, though, like, I think it's an investment thing, though, as well. Like, the idea of Mercedes Moné, the ex-WWE star against the homegrown AEW star and Britt Baker, when that was first teased, it was like, oh, that's a big match. That makes sense. And then it was diminishing returns as the week's gone on. And they clearly had no chemistry. And like you say, I mean, the character work of Mercedes is probably harder on than in a ring, but the character work hasn't been great. Britt Baker's got the real life stuff going on that just makes her just feel unlikable. It doesn't make, she's a baby face and it feels fake because we all know, you know, the rumors at least, or the news that's going on. And the closer it got to the match, I think the less invested people were. So I think it's partly the placement, partly the work in the build to it. But people weren't into it. And like I say, I watched the VOD back and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was on the night. I think some of the mechanical work was good, but I still didn't really care. Is probably as far as I'd go on it, JP.
Oh, I'd be with you just to sort of I'd lose at least, what was it, 17 minutes, lose 7 minutes from it. I was more interested at the beginning of the mass exodus of people after the intros who it just felt like they were fucking walking out. It was like they'd gone to watch a match at Wembley and they were 4-0 down. And they were like, your team was just
unreal.
Yeah, but they made the right choice because they missed nothing. They genuinely missed. Not honest, lads, I've never sat there like angry at a match in probably my life. Like, it was so, honestly, so bad. What's she done good in AEW so far, Monet? Anyone want to tell me? And I don't want to sound like fucking Eric Bischoff here, but like, seriously,
week, really,
she needs to do something good next feud. Like, she really, really does, because it's just it hasn't been worth it for me at all.
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't been.
It hasn't. It hasn't.
Yeah, the entrance theme as well. Like, that's worse than Bailey's. It's but at the same time, I will say at the same time in our section,
I don't know, that's strong.
I've seen the Monet fans in full thing. There was literally a girl with a dad in front of us, and she didn't move all show. As soon as Monet come out, she was up dancing, singing the song, doing all the poses. So fair play, like the fans are out there. But Jesus Christ, like, honestly, one of the worst experiences I've ever had at a wrestling show was this match. Like, it's so shit. Honest to God.
Dare I ask you star rating?
The worst match on the show, at least 1.5. It's got, honestly, I can't stress it, lads. It was really that bad. Like,
I haven't rewatched this, and I'm going to be more generous. I'm going to say 2 stars, and I think that's me being generous with that. And maybe I should go back and see it again. But it just, as I'll
have to watch it back again, because it can't be that bad on TV.
It's not, I don't think it is. I'd go 3. I've only watched it back, but that sounds like I'm saying 5 now, based on everyone you said. Maybe I'll say 2.75 just to cover myself. But yeah, there's something absolutely isn't clicking with Mercedes and AEW, and Britt Baker's in a horrible spot as well. But yeah, theme's definitely not worse than Bailey's. I agree with Simon. And then from there, yeah, the match that 100% cut for time, Jack Perry and Darby Allin in the coffin match. This was the biggest for me. If that was your most hated match, Matty, this was my biggest disappointment on the show. Going in, I thought this was going to steal the show and just be that great undercard match. Instead, they did get that semi-final spot and couldn't carry it because yeah, it felt rushed from the moment Darby came out and was just like, his music was turned off, and Jack Perry came out and his music was turned off, and then we went to the match, and then it felt like there was another 5 or 10 minutes where there'd be another comeback or another daft spot with Darby Allin that didn't really materialize. Like we got the spot with the coffin where Darby went flying into it. We got the spot off the stage, and then he just got put in the coffin and Jack Perry won. That was that. It was just like,
It was a squash
there wasn't
match, wasn't
really
it?
a story told, was there? It was just a sequence of events that just flew by because they needed the time to do the thing they were doing after the match, which was a JP prediction that I started seeing on many other podcasts after we talked about it last week and wasn't on my mind. So we got the Sting moment afterwards, but the match was just a big nothing. I don't think there's really much to break down in it other than to say Jack Perry might be in there with Mercedes and that. Like, I like it. For him, at least I like the character work, but in ring is flattered to deceive a little bit for me. Maybe it's harsh to judge him on this one.
Biggest disappointment. Like, we went into this match actually thinking this could be great, this could be wonderfully batshit and everything else, and it wasn't even really that. And it just sort of came and went. It was like, what, fucking 10 minutes, and it was just like, right, was that it? And then we had, you know, don't get me wrong, the Sting stuff was great. Everyone singing "Seek and Destroy," that was like, that was tremendous. But like, I was just like, I don't know, I was just left completely cold for this one. Didn't find myself into it, and it was over before it started. So yeah, I mean, match rating wise, again, I'd be harsh on this. I'd say 2.5 stars, and I think I might be being a bit generous with that. Yeah.
Sting moment was cool, but again, even that felt rushed through. You know, like I love
Sting was basically jogging down, wasn't he? Because to get down there.
Yeah, he couldn't really soak in that either, really. And I just wanted to look at his, weird dye job that he had going on. I think it was the face paint more than anything, but it looked like a gigantic black side. He's
had the paintbrush out, hadn't he? On that one, like, it was like.
Yeah, but Sting being back at Wembley was a big deal. The song was great. We're all, sing along to Seek and Destroy. But it's the argument we made when AEW first started. Let your moments breathe, and yeah, it wasn't allowed to breathe because the pay-per-view might have been a little bit overstuffed and had that usual timing issue, unfortunately. I'm surprised because the pay-per-view time is exactly 4 hours. Tony Khan couldn't pay for the extra for the biggest show of the year. I don't know.
They charge by the minute, apparently.
It's the Wembley thing as well, isn't it, as well? So it's probably more that than anything, but yeah, real letdown. Good to see Sting. That's all we can really say. Looks like he put shoe polish on his buns. He says here.
Did.
Good stuff. But yeah, we went from there, lads, and there we go. That was our semi-main event into the big one, which was the main event. Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland.
Oh, mate.
Where do we start? I almost think we could take a breath before we talk about this one. This was stadium. We talk about stadium wrestling and things that are perfect for the stadium. Everything about this, from the setup and obviously having Bryan's family there at ringside, which would come a key point with the ring, with the story, to the entrances, like unreal. Both of them as well. Like Danielson's entrance, of course, the final countdown, like. Just out of body experience, wasn't it? Watching him come out to that song and milk it and have a gigantic smile on his face and get everyone going. Like every section was singing for that entrance, weren't they? Which is just hilarious that it's like this in-jug from ROH that has come this far, and Tony Khan's willing to spend all this money to get it on his shows, but worth every penny in this entrance, combined with the yes chance for Bryan. That was absolutely brilliant. Goosebumps already on me. I was, again, the next point of the night where I had tears in my eyes was 100% that. And contrast it with Swerve's entrance. We could probably spend 15 minutes on the entrance here, lads. Swerve, I think it's mission accomplished with him. Your mileage can vary on how big a draw or how big a main eventer he's going to be. That man's a main eventer in AEW now. You don't believe me? Watch that entrance. That was a main eventer entrance. Following Danielson coming out, GRAPPL favourite Bun Baby in there, Matty as well. Nana being there, him coming out with the t-shirt on with the faces and heads of all his victims was so cool. Next point that got brought a tear to my eye was Nana standing there with the Jimmy Rave robe, the former crown jewel of the embassy, which is the role that Swerve took. Fucking God bless both of them for keeping Jimmy Rave's name alive. Just brilliant to see that. Brought genuine tears to my eye seeing Swerve wearing that. And then his swagger down to the ring and his entrance compared with Danielson, this was the main event, and it felt like it in all of this pomp and circumstance. Lads, Matty, you must have been loving this as well.
Like, I've been thinking about what to say about this one all day. Like, people know I'm not like a big Bryan Danielson fan, but obviously the years there is, obviously he's a great wrestler and stuff, but like this was like, if you didn't get swept up in this, you just didn't like professional wrestling. You don't like the business. You don't like it, because from that, what you've just said, Ben, like them two entrances were so like contrast, but they just work so well as this. Like, this is what this big time fucking match is. And honestly, like as you say, it was just goosebumps and tears before they'd even fucking locked up in the ring. It was, as you say, this was the closest AEW will ever get to a WrestleMania, like for entrances, for getting it all nailed in a package.
Closer than it was better than, mate.
It was.
It was.
I'll let you know after April, but like this was just like, no, it was insane. Like, it was just. I don't want to jump ahead because we're talking about the match and stuff, but like, honestly, guys, this was incredible.
This is main event. This is what All In was missing last year. Like, yes, Adam Cole and MJF got a great reaction, but it wasn't a biggest show of the year, main event, all the stakes.
Proper
the feeling before the bell rang, JP, the feeling in that stadium. I've never been so glad I made the trip. I was so glad I was there, because it was that again, pros and cons to the way they've told this story. But I think we were consistent in saying it. Once you got in that stadium and it was Danielson's career, it was either his last match or he was winning the world title. Both of those things are gigantic. Gave this thing stakes out the arse and made it a stadium main event. Like, I stand by it. Bigger than a WrestleMania main event. That's what it felt like.
I would go along with that. It felt like it was, dare I say, the perfect main event for a stadium show. Because look at the component parts of what this had. You've already mentioned about like a couple of amazing intros in there. You've got a crowd that are fully invested. You've got a storyline that creates emotion, along with his wife and his kids at ringside as well. There, you've got that early. I always come back to that first Basaiku knee and Swerve just sort of brushing it off, and you just like that was just like a moment for me when I was just like, that's just fucking incredible as well. And just him. Is there a better wrestler at fighting from underneath than Bryan Danielson? The conversations we were having on the way back after this match is going, he is an easy top 5 of all time. Like, in every kind of metric, he's just more like the greatest worker who's a massive star. Like, he's the best, like, by far. I was completely with this every step of the way, and it felt like this was the match that everybody had come to see. And it was just delivered brilliantly. And I was more, and it's a strange one for this, it's like I was like almost more happy for Swerve, if it made any sense. Danielson, I kind of expect it, but Swerve stepped it up as well and felt like a massive star as well at the same time. And I just went along with each and every one of the story beats along with this, alongside in this match. And I was just like, I just fucking loved this. I just, like Matty said, and quite often when you say it like, this is pro wrestling, this is pro wrestling.
This genuinely is.
It really is. It's a culmination of story and spectacle and emotion
and performance, though, JP,
with
and
brilliant performances and work rate. And quite often you'll get a few of those parts, but you don't get all of them.
Definitely.
This had all of them. And you've got to think of the feel. Whereas I came away last year from that All In main event going, I just felt like I had to get through it because I thought we were going to see an angle at the end. And we didn't even get that angle at the end. And it was like, oh, fucking hell. I'm not saying I left feeling deflated, but I left feeling that that wasn't the main event I wanted to see. After this, I was like, no, that was the main event. And it felt like the main event. And any of those quibbles with other matches early on the night, you forgot about those, because this was the match that stuck in your mind. And it was just fucking brilliant. And I'm sat there with Joe, who is like one of the biggest Bryan Danielson fans in the world. And he's just going, that's up there, like with the greatest work he has ever done. And it was perfection.
Yeah. It's an all-timer match. It genuinely is one of the best matches of all time. Best thing I've ever been a part of at a wrestling show, like definitely.
If we were doing the best matches on British soil ever,
it's in there.
This works its way in there, like straight away into that
Shits
list.
on anything from last year, doesn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I obviously as the ROH guy, like, I love ROH Danielson. I love, you know, dickhead, I'm gonna kick your head in Danielson, which you absolutely got elements of in this match. But what I also love is stadium main event Daniel Bryan, which is what you got here too. You got both parts of Danielson in this match, and they told that this is the Danielson that should be headlining, you know, AEW shows, because it was that blend of those two things. There's the intricate great work and all everything that goes into, you know, him being, you know, the great wrestler for those of us who are the match guys. You know, you get that too. But as far as stadium main event babyface, like you said, fighting from underneath, this was one of Danielson's best performances in that role, and that's what made him in WWE. He was an all-time great top line babyface, you know, fighting from underneath guy. And yeah, it had all of it in it. It had, you know, the early stages with the two of them. Like it was like, you know, you said before, Matty, about being locked in on Toni Storm and Mariah May.
Definitely.
Locked in right from the start. Swerve turning up like the dickhead meter because he needed to in this feud. You know, that made, while it had been maybe tonally a bit all over the place in the weeks leading up to it, on the night, Swerve needed to play villain, and play villain did he, you know, right through to, you know, the ring bell spot and Danielson bleeding, which, you know, put even more sympathy on him. The way Swerve and Nana were in, you know, and again, Prince Nana, all in stadium main eventer, you know, messing with Danielson's kids, which was just like, you know, he's such a big part of that Swerve act. Like that Swerve act, they did the exact smart thing, and that's what Swerve's done as world champion. So, okay, what's not working? Brian Cage in the Gates of Agony. Bye. What is working? Prince Nana. We'll keep that. And he played his role in this match as well. But he was so sinister and so evil. And it could have been over the top, but it wasn't. It was perfect for the moment. And it was a bit of drama to add to the in-ring stuff that was going on as well. Just unbelievable. And you just had this feeling in the stadium that we were, you know, the more Swerve did, you know, and you mentioned it there, JP, the I suppose no sell spot to the knee where Swerve stepped backwards. Like, he came up to me. If you're going to do it, you do it in the WrestleMania main event, or you do it in the All In main event if you're going to do the big no-sell spot. And there was signs to it. He stepped back. He took the impact out of it. He took it on his chest rather than his chin. It made sense to me, but it was that's a moment to replay. That look on his face afterwards that sums up the entire Swerve character. And, you know, he had his moments where he was on top, and that was the biggest one. But you had in your back of your mind the entire match, you are going to get the big Bryan Danielson comeback. And when it came back, it was Bryan Danielson, it was Daniel Bryan, it was all of the things people love about him in one man, with the hard strikes that give him the credibility, but with the plucky babyfaceness that just gets the fans, young and old, into him in those moments. And like, you knew it was coming, and it was one of the all-time great comebacks for me, right through, you know, to the near falls and the big finish. Not even to mention, you know, the big spots in there with the cop killer, which I did get a WhatsApp message from Joe as soon as that happened. JP, I was marking out for the Storm Cradle Driver, which Swerve has taken on in tribute to Quiet Storm as well. You know, they were great, you know, of great near falls in there.
I thought he had them off that
part. Yeah, I bought it because the stakes were so big. The stakes were so big. You were buying it, hook, line, and sinker, and it was almost like it took an extra special super comeback from Bryan that we all knew he had in his locker. And like, the reaction to it was unlike anything I've been part of. Like, and that's stadium wrestling, isn't it? That's a man who has every single person in that stadium, you know, living and dying by his movements as the underdog face. Like, he said it in the promo in the go home, didn't he, in Cardiff? You know, I'm the best wrestler in the world. Like, believe it. When Danielson is also out there, he's just another level.
Also, the Hangman stuff as well played great. It weren't directly to the finish, was it? So that was.
I thought that was a fan. I bought that. I really did.
Good as well. Really good.
It was just a fan he was knocking out, but like, brilliant.
what I loved about that is it was enough of a distraction to change the tide, but it wasn't the actual finish of the match. And
JP,
so
yeah.
it was just enough. So there's enough of like you're protecting Swerve, but at the same time you're not detracting from the match and giving it a screwy finish. It was just everything about this, and you think about how perfectly it's laid out, and you know that that's Danielson going right. This is how we should lay out this type of match because he gets it. He just fucking gets it. He gets pro wrestling, and he made it understand. The picture he's screaming for his family, which I didn't pick up on the stadium, but I saw it when I watched it back on the TV and stuff.
Yeah, didn't get on
Just
that
like
live.
fucking hell, like just so much. And I have to say as well, it's not like this match suffers from being on TV either. Like I think it's more special being there like live and seeing and being a part of that atmosphere as well, and just that crowd who were, and we found ourselves stood up for large swathes.
Oh yeah, the last
we
like 10 minutes, we were just
no one sitting down, and everyone was, and that was at the point when two people were nearly having a fight during this match, and that didn't distract from it because one of them had apparently spelt his beer onto one of them. He was proper pissed, mind. But like that was like not even that could distract away from what was going on in the ring. I just like fucking love this.
You guys might think back more. You've been to more shows than me over the years, but have you come out of a show that happy and that like fucking high and that emotional? Like honestly, have we ever done it? Like for me, and I'll say I'm not even the biggest like Danielson fan. Like you just can't help but that's how good it was though. Like it was just, as JP, you nailed the word, perfection. That was what that was. That was what that was.
I will remember the spot when Swerve is going for the stupid forward flip thing he does, and Danielson hits the knee out of that. It was so perfectly done. Like, what a moment in a match like that. And like you said, obviously the slaps, everything felt perfect. Danielson was the perfect person, even for the only hole in Swerve's game. We've been consistent in saying it is some of his offenses fucking daft, including that stupid flip thing he does. Danielson made it all make sense. His selling made sense that I'm in position now for the Swerve stop. It's the most any of Swerve's daft stuff I've ever made sense. They gelled so well. And they both bought so much of them laying roses at Danielson, but those little criticisms aside, Swerve's performance here was so good as well. Is it a 5-star match, lads? I was saying it coming out the stadium. I was 5.
Never in doubt, Benno. Like that's not in doubt. That mate, that's like standard. Like it's not even a debate or a question. That, my friend.
Is it one of the very best wrestling matches of all time? Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's an easy 5. And we don't often say that. Sometimes we and we are and we go, okay, 4.75 because there might be something that didn't necessarily click. Just like I said before, it's just it had all of the component parts that make big time wrestling. There are matches that I would have seen in much smaller venues in front of live crowds that I've been more surprised by, because I suppose in many ways we were like, we'd said this on the preview, we were expecting this to be great. And it fucking delivered greatness. It lived entirely up to all of the possible hype that it could have done. And it set the standard. And I would say also, this was the cementing of Swerve Strickland headliner. And it's no surprise he's ended up signing a new contract with them as well. Because you go, this is one of the guys you want into your top mix. Like, it's his run. We were worried about it, particularly when it started off. But it's built into one of the better AEW babyface title runs, dare I say, if not arguably the best of the babyface title runs.
You know why?
Although it ended as a heel, kind of, did this?
He did, but it was
that's AEW.
That's his character is always like that anyway.
Yeah,
I think he's better.
He's better as a sinister heel.
I don't want to see him do that babyface act going forward. I want him to be the sinister heel. I want him for the Hangman feud to lean into that for presumably the All Out match. That's the main eventer in Swerve for me. It's that.
Is that cool though, Benno, that he's always going to get cheered though? The presentation of him is so fucking, he's just the coolest guy in the world. Like, I've always been a big Swerve guy and I'm so happy to see him, Benno. Maybe not number 30 in the Rumble like I claimed a few years ago, but he's fucking eclipsed that now, mate, with this fucking, like, mate, I'm so happy to see him fucking in this position. And it's the way he carries himself as well. Like, he knows he's good though. That's, you need to have that about, and he's just showing what he can do now. But that's why the world title reign's always been, like, it's always been good, because he's always had that Hangman thing looming over after he lost, so he's protected in that way as well. He doesn't lose anything, and he should be now. if he ever gets demoted, it's a crime. He should be one of the main eventers for years to come as well. So,
yeah, I think he's set now. He'll win the belt back. He'll be the champion
Yeah.
again, like within the year, 100%, and he should be. He's been set up as a main eventer now.
I think they, to be honest, I think they go to Hangman next, and then you go Hangman Swerve, and that will be the way that Danielson will be ushered up. But this is the thing, more so than WrestleMania 30, because that just felt like it was more an exercise in a crowd that had willed this bloke to be the top guy, getting him to be the top guy. But the three-way main event never did anything for me. The Triple H match was, I don't know if it was the best Triple H match in WrestleMania history, but that's not fucking saying a lot for regular listeners. In that, this though was more pleasing on like just an aesthetic level of just like everything about it and the storyline and everything else, and I think loved it.
I think I was going to say it was WrestleMania 30 done right, but I think in the end WrestleMania 30 was done right, and it was one of the peaks of Danielson's career. But this was an improvement on that. I think that in a number of ways, again, it had the same definitive ring, didn't it? Although the LaBelle loved, I didn't really specifically mention the finish, but like the LaBelle lock going into base, it's the Rings of Saturn, isn't it? Like I always love that move, as like the the super version of that, and getting the definitive tap out was like just that release when Swerve finally tapped out, because people just wanted it and wanted it and wanted it, like the loudest crowd I've ever been part of, chanting tap. But it was that into the post match, and I'll always say that, like in my rating of a match, I still think the post match matters just as much. And if this was WrestleMania 30 done better, the thing people forget about WrestleMania 30 is because there were gobshites backstage at WWE. They wouldn't let Brie come out, would they? They wouldn't let Bryan have that moment. It was kind of awkward because it was him and his sister and his niece or nephew wasn't in the ring, and it was like, this isn't exactly Savage and Elizabeth. Like it's nice, but like, just let Brie go out there. We all know they're together. Like, why are we pretending? Like that full picture of, and again, it's been part of the imperfect story. Bryan Danielson, the family man, who is a bit split in his two loves. There, like with Brie, with the two kids, like that was the last thing on the night that brought a tear to me. How fucking lovely that moment was. Danielson threatened to pile drive his young son, all of that stuff. Seeing them play around with each other, like in the ring, it was just the perfect ending to a wrestling show, wasn't it? To a stadium wrestling show. It was like, yep, this is what Bryan should be doing, and now we're gonna get Bryan Danielson world champion at AEW. I'm sure the story's gonna be the moment he drops that belt is when he semi-retires and he's not full-time anymore. But it could be short, it could be long. How fucking fun is it going to be? Bryan Danielson being forced to be the top guy in AEW and be the main event guy and work everyone and hopefully, work through and, not leave anything on the table as to what you could do. Like, I can't wait for these Dynamites, collisions and pay-per-views with Danielson on top. I really hope it's a 6-month run or something daft like that. Dare I say it probably won't be, but I'd take it, And of course, it's Pac's finish, as Liam says there. I didn't even pick up on that nugget, as Pac did, as well as the family being there. I suppose the only knock I've had on it, Blackpool Combat Club coming out, or however you want to name them now. The Packpool Combat Club, I think somebody said in the chat before. He did look. I said this, Matty. Is this a reference you get? Remember the No Mercy game on the N64 when Big Show was in trouble with WWE for being fat or something like that?
Yeah.
So they took him out the game in story mode. Every moment, including like the WrestleMania 2004 main event, has got Stevie Richards in it instead of Big Show. And he's doing all the Big Show's lines. Linda McMahon introduces him, and it's all these stupid. Oh, it wasn't Linda, was it? With Big Show, whatever it was. Like Shane, all those little things. Shane, it's Stevie Richards instead.
What a sliding doors moment that would have been.
That's what Pac looked like. Stood there like, oh, we got Moxley at home. Like, and I love Pac. It's Pac in Wembley. Like, I say that in jest. But he did look out of place, didn't he? And I guess that was part of it. He was side-eyeing him a little bit, wasn't he? He looked a bit out of place. Moxley probably should have been there, but you can make that a story. And then there's as Liam says there in the chat, right, to bring up, you get the match too.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Wrestling perfection, mate.
Yeah. 5 stars. Better than last year, lads?
Yeah.
Just
last year was the novelty. And I think the novelty carried us through it. It was the idea of a non-WWE company in Wembley had sold this many tickets. It seemed mental. And until we were there, we didn't truly believe it was a thing. And then, like you said, when you went last year, you just spent time just looking around, just going like, this is fucking nuts. This time round, it was a better stage setup. The matches, I think, overall were better. Like they were. Yeah, it didn't have CM Punk, Samoa Joe, but you know, for reasons. But this one,
Better
I
matches,
think,
than that? 3 better matches.
overall, I mean, if we're going to snipe on it, in some ways, you lose one of the obvious matches from that card. You shut that onto the pre-show, and you've almost got the perfect running time. And that's another thing to say. Like 4 hours done, absolutely done. And so it felt like I wasn't overly knackered by the end, and I was hyped up. Considering I walked in there, I think I was more shattered than when I walked out. Like by the time I came out, that's what I ended up fucking speaking about all the way until we got into the car, and then speaking about it in the car until we got all the way to Oxford. Like it was like fucking hell. Like we had just seen that, and it was just that feeling. It felt special, and that main event made it feel special. Take that away, and you put in something else, and you're like, oh, I don't know. And to think we ummed and ahed about the idea of Danielson being in a main event at Wembley. I say ummed and ahed, though. Like there was like storyline reasons why Hangman would have perhaps been would have been a better option, which are all legitimate things to say. This though, it fucking absolutely it was an absolute no-brainer to go in this direction.
Top 3 shows I've ever been to, I would say, and that's with its flaws, clear flaws.
About to say that
the main event that good. You have a Casino Battle Royal that was as fun as it was. I always get that name wrong. Love Mariah May, Toni Storm. Just as an overall experience, this was what I imagined last year was going to be, Matt.
That's exactly it, Benno. The experience of it all, like as JP said as well, it's the stage setup with, even if nothing else on that card.
Law, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe that plays into my take on it. I gotta be honest.
But even if you didn't have anything that was even very good on the undercard, that main event alone, lads, seriously, that was just insanely good.
So fucking lucky to be there.
No, genuinely, but Ben, I think we agree on that. Like the Toni Storm Mariah May, for me, one of the best matches I've ever seen. Like honestly, I fucking love that so much. The Casino Battle Royale, one of the most fun I've ever had at a show. It helps with obviously the crowd around you and the people you're with as well. But them 3 things alone, and the main events obviously made it. It capped off a great weekend. Like, and as JP said, walking home, having scran after it, talking the card the next morning, final countdown was the first song loaded up, just buzzing the next day, waking up knackered, but just everything about it carrying you through. It's what wrestling and the weekend should be about. And that, honestly, they nailed the weekend more as well than last year for me. I had a better experience overall than last year.
Let's do it again next year, lads. Oh, wait. That's the other story. And the most ridiculous way it could get revealed. But what do you think about? We'll say briefly because we talked the Grand Slam Brisbane show on the pre-show. If you want an expert on that, we spoke to Dickie Bird and Ozzy himself. Forbidden Door London next year. Smart, JP. All in 2026. They hammered us home with that. They made very clear All in 2026 is Wembley because that was a doubt. We are getting that. That's good to know. I think that as much as I love this and as much as I'd love to do it again next year, I think it makes business sense to skip a year. Maybe Oasis had something to do with it as well. Who knows? But we're skipping a year and we rightly should. What do you think about Forbidden Door replacing it? Like, I assume somewhere like the O2 was going to be announced, but we don't have a venue. Just, we know it's not Wembley. What do you think about them coming back and doing a smaller show next year? Same weekend too, August Bank Holiday.
Weirdly, I think if you're going to do a kind of like a sort of filler show to throw into the mix, you can sell out the O2. I think it will do because of the buzz from this. Although I would always say as well, they can tour beforehand in order to plug Forbidden Door to throw that in there. My thoughts when it came to Forbidden Door stuff was, well, seeing Okada's reaction of the New Japan lads going to get a much bigger reception here than what they would do if they were in the North America. Or the US and Canada, possibly. What I would want to see from it is not only you're doing New Japan, CMLL, but a bit of Rev Pro, because that would then help in terms of you've got that British element to it. Yeah. It doesn't have to be an absolute ton, but a bit of that in there as well, because I'm assuming from that you'll have the 13th anniversary for Rev Pro as well at the Copperbox. It allows you to kind of keep the same component. Yeah, well, that's it. And do you know what? On the Wednesday before, I can't think of a better place for them to run than the Copperbox, because that is the place if you're doing London, You do the Copperbox there, not Wembley Arena. The temptation would be to do Wembley Arena or somewhere else as a venue. I'd be saying the Copperbox because I've got nothing but lovely things to say about that place. But I think overall it's a smart move. It keeps the weekend as an AEW weekend. It's a bank holiday. There'll be that. There's a more finite amount of tickets to sell, and they'll be able to flog those. I'd be quietly confident because I can't think. Rather like when people came out of All In 2023, and there was a feeling you got from people that they won't go and see them next year. They've done that AEW at Wembley thing. I wouldn't get that impression from people leaving this year that they would be like, no, actually, I want a bit more of this. Because if this is what it can deliver on the big stage, then yeah, I want to see it for Forbidden Door. And if you've got Zach in there as part of it and main event, it works out quite nicely.
And I say that in our live show when somebody asks, I think this does make New Japan, make the Forbidden Door concept just a little bit more attractive. It'll give it a bit of juice that it's in the UK because we're going to go wild for it. That's a thing that we're getting. I think we will make that special again. Which it kind of struggled with this year as well. But yeah, I suppose the question is going to be, where's it going to be? But yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And still, it's like you said, wise move for all the reasons you said there as well. I'm sure we'll be doing something on the bank holiday weekend next year. So they're smart to at least keep it AEW centric, as we said there. But yeah, that's kind of it. And speaking of the Copperbox, obviously we're very excited to see if what AEW do there next year, if they do go there next year. But we do have the Copperbox show to talk about, Rev Pro's 12th anniversary from the Saturday night as well, which we're all at. I tell you what, until All In happened and was an all-timer experience there live, I thought Rev Pro had stolen the weekend again. JP had a fucking cracking time at the Copperbox. They say we had a great day, followed our live show, so that's a big part of it. And I think the vast majority of the people at our live show were there as well, so it was a great social occasion as well. But if we're going to say that AEW should run the Copperbox, there's a reason for it, because I just think it is one of the great venues. There's no bad seat in the house.
Brilliant.
Maybe a couple of bad seats on the floor, you hear sometimes people say, but that's, that can happen. But anywhere you are in that place is brilliant. I've been in the very back row and had a cracking time. And yeah, we had a couple of grapple sections on the go.
Oh, mate, we had a proper grapple section, Benno, where we were, didn't we? Took up a few rows.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, great experience. I thought better than last year, I'd say, as an overall show, JP.
Yeah, I would do. I would say I would say again, rather similar to All In. It had for me 3 really great matches. Now, I suppose All In kind of, in some ways, they had great matches at the beginning. They had great matches at the moments, beginning, middle, and end. This one was kind of like, for me, it was the women's 10-woman tag, the Zach versus Hechicero, and the main event for those. And it also had a crowd. I think they announced the crowd. I saw it on Fightful earlier on. It was like 3,927, which is basically the same as last year. And that's pretty incredible. Let's call it 4, particularly with 2 British headliners, with not as many big imports being thrown to the mix.
Point. Tony Khan's got one over on his ear by not announcing the attendance number for All In. We haven't talked the attendance number for All In. There's nothing to talk about, I suppose. Less than last year, 30,000 less than last year, we assume.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, do you think he's just trying to hide it from us all and not ashamed of it? Maybe, I don't know. Like, what's the?
Can't be ashamed of it because
it's still incredible, isn't it? Like, it's an all-time wrestling attendance as far as it's bigger. It could be bigger than WrestleMania, depending on what the number is. Bigger than at least one of the nights of WrestleMania. Could be bigger than SummerSlam. It's wild. We don't know, innit? Wild. We'll make the video. Like, he's not getting away with it. There'll be a YouTube video on it coming up.
It's like he's overthought it. And he's thought, actually, what people will think about is, well, last year you did 81,000 tickets, and this year you've done 55. So, therefore, it's a terrible attendance. But
isn't that what we said last week?
It is.
Some would say we did.
It's a kind of like a fair point, but ultimately, you sold 50,000 plus tickets to a wrestling show. It's got like a $6 million gate, so it's financially successful. Plus, you've delivered on some of the big stuff, and people will take away really good feelings about an AEW show. I haven't seen people being disappointed by All In. So I think his announcement is him probably overthinking it and going, well, actually, maybe people will think, it's well done. It's like, no, mate, honestly, you don't need to think of it that way. Just announce what the figure is. It would have got a cheer on the night, and ignore anybody who's like kind of slagging it off, because it's not worth it. Because let's face it, WCW didn't draw these figures. I'm thinking of one person in particular. They didn't draw this to the Georgia Dome, did they? They didn't do 50 odd thousand.
To be consistent with last week, though, we'd have the conversation. We'd talk about the reasons it's down, and it is down. But we'd also say it's incredibly, incredibly impressive and in the pantheon of great wrestling attendances. It's just annoying we don't know where. Maybe we'll find that out before weekend show this week. But sorry, back to the Copperbox. Yeah, 4,000, nothing to sniff off for a UK indie. Like unbelievable, like gigantic show.
Did any of the other combined shows going on that weekend even do half of what the Rev Pro show did? I doubt it. I really do doubt it. And this delivered. I think the only, if it is an issue, there's probably a thing where for people who are the long-term followers of Rev Pro, the story beats would mean more to them than for a lot of people who are there, who are just dropping in really into Rev Pro. And that's a slight issue. But it's not a big issue. And I also think as well, I mean, there was stuff on this that was like kind of like blow away, but there was a lot of stuff on the card that was, again, it was good without being great or overly spectacular, but I think that's fine. But I also like find myself, because of the way the Copperbox is set up, you can have a wander around and watch the show and not miss up. And you're not going to be stuck in a queue for ages and stuff like that. You're like, it's just a venue that I enjoy just wandering around, being able to watch wrestling from a whole series of different vantage points. And it's so well set up for that kind of fan experience. And for them, they like the crowd were hot as well. I thought it really delivered. And I mean, I do have to admit, I was pretty pissed by the end, but like in a good, happy way. It wasn't like I was kind of like, I didn't do the whole rewatch like you did, Benno. So there's a lot of the sort of move by move stuff that I might well have missed on it. And I'm sat there with the family, and the kids loved it. They were sat there for 4 hours. They weren't complaining. They were knackered, but they weren't complaining. Grapple Charlie tapped out in the main event, because he's a baby and he was always going to do that. But I think I think for people who come along, what you want that to be is like, okay, if AEW are doing this every on this bank holiday weekend in August, that show has to be there along with it, because it does feel like that big semi-main show to everything else that is there. So yeah, I really enjoyed this as an experience. But then I'm biased in this. I'm a Rev Pro fan.
I thought the main event, I'll start there, was absolutely unbelievable. Like the rewatch I did today, like I had just, I had a great time in the building watching it and a great night out. But watching it back, it was like, yep, this is the coming out party of Luke Jacobs. That's what it felt like watching this one back. Like he was, I had some question on the night over his entrance and the whole cowboy stick. I know he's done the Young Guns before, but I'm not totally sure that really worked for me on the night. But once that was over with and they got the match, it was main event level stuff from an Oku who I presumed was on his way out here, and I presumed him losing would mean that, or I actually presumed going into it, as we talked about, it would be maybe the start of a heel turn for him, or there'd be we go into the summer of Michael Oku that we thought we might get out of this, JP, but instead it was just a straight up match, and it was a straight up valiant babyface to the end performance from him. It took one of the most ridiculous finishes I've ever seen in a match to take him out. I don't know what you call it, an orange crush spike something or other in there as well. Unbelievable as far as finishes go in the match. It took that to kill him off, but I was biting on every near fall watching it back even a second time, knowing the finishers in there as well, and I just thought Oku and Jacobs were both incredible in this one, JP.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Screwdriver pile driver, I think, according to Ian Hamilton on that for it. But I thought, like, I mean, even the pit before that, where you had like the frog splashes and the crowd turning on Oku as well slightly because they wanted Jacobs to win, and like I thought that stuff was just delivered really, really well. And this had, this had, like you say, straight up match, and but it had still enough kind of like storyline elements there. And these two guys are really fucking good. And I'm more than happy to see a Luke Jacobs run. Yeah, I didn't get the heel turn that I thought might end up happening, but I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine. I mean, I wish I'd been sat with Andy and Jeff for this, because I know they were sat with some of the lads that they train with and stuff, and they were going absolutely batshit in there as well. But I thought it was like it felt like a big time main event, and it felt like rather like the main event of All In. It felt like, okay, no, this is the big match. This is the match that really is kind of drawing people in. Why? Because it's two young British guys.
That's what I loved about it, JP. You did have to put like that flying.
Yeah, you were saying that when you were pissed on the night, Matty. That's what you were. What you were repeating to us.
That's the biggest thing I can take from it, JP. Like getting that crowd and two British wrestlers doing that should be extremely proud of themselves, lad. And what I do remember from the match, it was fucking, as you say there, the investment was there, JP. So fucking like good. And I did call Jacobs winning as well, even to Carl on the night. Carl kept saying, okay, I was like, no, Jacobs is going to win this one, Carl. So we had that back and forth as well.
The match was the best of both of them because it was kind of hard hitting on the Jacobs end, and like I say, it took the murder to kill off Oku, but it kind of had that, I don't know, the way Oku kind of tells us stories through his matches, and they become these epics, like the Ospreay match did earlier on in the year with the big spots and just the babyface fight that he just, that never say die kind of attitude he brings to the matches. Like, it had both of those elements in it, and I just thought they had incredible chemistry in there as well. And I can't believe we're at this point with Luke Jacobs already, JP. I presume, I saw him taking some photos of Progress with both the Progress belt and the Rev Pro belt now, which is a weird position for him to be in at in his career. But would you imagine we'd be at this point with him this already?
No. Like, it's kind of, it's insane. But do you know what? If you're going to go with someone, he's the one that you go with. And if nothing else, I suppose there's always the argument that it needed a change, didn't it? That they needed to change something just to add in a bit of freshness into the top line mix. And if Oku's hanging around, there's no reason you can't go to the heel turn in a little bit, where you can have a sort of like, he's crazed and he wants his title back and everything else. And I think even the way it set up the Ishii match, which there'd always been, I think he lost twice to Ishii, but you've got Ishii coming out there who he seems like he's well set up for like Royal Quest. That would be a match that I'd think about doing on there, because he'll be in front of a big crowd. He'll win. He'll look good in the process. And I'm fine with that. So I think if you've still got Oku around, there's a lot that you can deliver storyline wise with this. But I think, go with Jacobs. Like, this is, I'm absolutely fine with that, because I think it's just like, he's really fucking good and he's really fucking talented.
And I like the paying off of, it's New Japan style booking, isn't it? Bringing, like you said, bringing Ishii out at the end and reminding everybody, he's someone Jacobs does need to beat here. So I like that about it as well.
Yeah.
Like I say, for a tired crowd, because it was a long show. I think everybody picked up, everybody bought into the finishing stretch on it, and I think I'd go maybe 4.25 GP on it.
Yeah,
I could be pushed to 4.5, but I know you haven't had the chance to watch it back.
I'd go 4.25 in the moment. It felt like it delivered all of the kind of storyline beats that you want in a match. With it wasn't too batshit in terms of like kind of like moves with a Z or anything silly like that. And that was the thing. It didn't have silliness about it. It was a serious.
You went to the apron a lot, I suppose. But yeah.
You kind of expect that, I suppose, at some points. But I think, for me, it delivered everything that I wanted from that as well, and I was well into that, and the crowd were well into it. So yeah,
big bongs from Jacobs and big story from Oku. That's what you want, and obviously Amira played the part as well. Just sad to not see them on the AEW show, but I thought it was the number by a country mile, maybe not a country mile, but by a distance, the best match on the show. But a match that I enjoyed a lot more watching back on VOD was Zack Sabre Jr. and Hechicero. I had Gareth behind me, not loving Hechicero's work in the match. He doesn't meet his. Did we all know that Zack Sabre Jr. was a Gareth hero? I feel like I've just not been listening.
Yeah, you've seen him
for 4 years. I've seen it now over the weekend. He was very much the Hechicero hater during this one, and maybe a Mac Classic isn't the one for a piss Benno in the crowd. But watching it back, I really like this. I think Gareth will like it more when if he gets around to watching it back on the VOD. And it felt like a good prestige match to have on there, to have New Japan guy and Zack Sabre Jr. against the CMLL guy and Hechicero. They put that over massively on commentary on the VOD in there as well. And yeah, I thought they just had a really good back and forth Zack Sabre Jr. match. It was a dream match for, you would think, the people who like the style of wrestling that our Gareth likes. But watching it back, really enjoyed it on the VOD. What did you make of that one, JP?
I get this one. I do want to see back on the VOD because I think it'll be. I thought it was excellent at the time. I thought it was like it had all of the kind of like what you'd expect out of the kind of like technical aspects of a match, but just done by two consummate pros. But I think it had something more because of Zack winning the G1 and being someone who think this guy's going to be the top of New Japan. So there was a bit of a homecoming element to it, which I think added then something in there for the crowd there as well. I think they were just like sort of so loved up from seeing him there that he thought that was going to be the case. And I loved give me any of those Zack tying up someone into 1,000,001 knots as a finish to a match, and I'll always get sort of sucked into it as well. And it was a long match, but it was never boring. It was like 22 minutes. This, when I look back, I was like, bloody hell, I'm a bit surprised by that. But again, I thought this like I didn't think it was as good as the main because the main had more emotion for me. This is still an exhibition match, ultimately, isn't it? You know who's going to win. You know kind of what you're getting out of it. But that's fine. I think in some ways to give people a bit of a grounding before the main event of, here's a couple of cracking professional wrestlers doing cracking professional wrestling. That's absolutely fine. And I think that completely works as well. I'm not as low on Hechicero as Gareth is. I can't quite understand that. He said, I think he said one of the lines was, he's not as stocky as I thought he'd be. And I was like, I don't know, mate. He seems pretty chunky to me, this lad. He's bigger than me. Bloody hell. Like, that's the comparison here. But I think this was, like, this felt very much like a sort of celebration of Zack Sabre Jr. And it was a perfect place for him to come to, given his long, storied history with Rev Pro as well, that he got to do that. And then also on top of it, had that Casino Gauntlet moment in there as well. It was like he's had himself a brilliant couple of weeks, that bloke.
But yeah, on the match, I'd probably go for 3.75, 4, probably close to 3.75. But yeah, definitely a good one. I think the other match, I suppose we're going to highlight the best stuff on the show. The Cutthroat Collective multi-person match. Everyone I spoke to this weekend was like, fucking hell, I wasn't expecting that to be so great. Like, including people who, like, pretty much can't stand half the people in the match and raving about this one. Because it was the payoff to the investment AEW put into this women's division. You've gotten Cutthroat Collective over. It's, a great group of great individually good performers in there as well. And the Giselle Shaw surprise again. I think maybe people were expecting an AEW person to be in this one, and it being her maybe was a bit of a disappointment for some. But again, like you said, JP, with the other stuff on this show, if you are someone who is invested in Rev Pro as a product and knows Giselle Shaw as being pretty legendary in Rev Pro, it was good fan service. It was good. She was a good person to have in there as well. But this felt like one that would be for you, Matty. Just this is like this year's version of the Trent Seven match from last year, with just the wacky spots and the mayhem. It was perfectly made for like a big arena full of people, and like it was maybe not the best match on the show for me, but the best time I think on the show for sure.
Yeah, but even the spot, I remember I'd say apologies like for me. The haziness on this show because I was pissed during this entire show, but that Spanish fly spot from the top to the outside onto all the other women, like, was just incredible stuff. And it was because that was one where it was like I was talking and I was pissed, but every time I was like that, like my head was on a swivel because I wanted to see what was going on in the ring. It was, and one of the biggest compliments I give this show as well. And I said this a lot. It's a proper variety show, JP. Like, it had a bit of everything, didn't it? It had a bit of every style of match. And I always say I'm big on that as a wrestling card. So yeah, fair play, mate.
When we previewed this, we were quite optimistic this might do it because we thought this is going to be the match where a load of batshit stuff happened, and it was the match where a load of batshit stuff happened. That finish that Rio took with the table with the pins and the sort of, what was it, the twisting superplex as well. That was just like mental, but it was just non-stop action, and it was like lively as all hell. And I just thought Gazelle Short, if you're not bringing in someone from AEW, you're bringing someone in who in canon means something to this audience, and there's good reasons for her to be there. And that's what it did. And I think the idea of the Cutthroat Collective, who were very much more than the sort of sum of their parts, is you're not overexposing people, are you? You're not putting people into positions where they've got to have one-on-one straight matches. Instead, they can come in, they can do a few spots, and then effectively they're getting out of the way. And it was just a match that kind of, I'm sat there watching it with a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're completely transfixed by this. They're like, this is, and they were like, oh, they're bleeding. And it was like, yeah, I think you'll see a few more of those as well. I mean, I have to say, like, Nightshade being someone who beforehand, obviously seen her a few times, but never been like truly invested in her. And I think, you know, someone like that, you come out with thinking, actually, like within Rev Pro, this then can go off in a whole other series of kind of places. I think there's stuff about Lizzie Evo as a character that just seems to work. It's someone you go, oh, she's going to stand out of the Cutthroat Collective. And they won, which I was happy about, because I just want them to kind of be a thing, because they'll be much more a featured part of those smaller shows that Rev Pro do around the country. But yeah, this app's like, dare I say it, I'd go 4 stars in the moment. Like I thoroughly enjoyed this for a batshit no DQ fucking like wild brawl. I'm down with this. And the kicking Rio took when they were holding her, just like hitting her with the kendo sticks and stuff, I was like, they were fucking laying it in. And if it pissed off people after the match, then that's an even better thing as well to add into the mix.
It was one that I was thinking, watching back on the VOD, I wasn't sure if it would be as fun, but it was good because there were spots that I completely missed in the moment that I actually got to see for the first time. So that was good. And yeah, overall, it was a match for the people invested in the stories Rev Pro are telling, but also a match just for the people who come along for the night out. I don't know where Hamflet and Joe, who were sitting with, were loving that one as well. I thought going through the rest of the card, Sunshine Machine and Grizzly Young Veterans was pretty good. It's always cool to see Grizzly Young Veterans. Still don't understand what's going on. I feel like I haven't seen a Zach Gibson promo in decades. At this point, they teased Ascension with TK and Chuck Mambo, I thought, which was a good way to pay off that story. If they didn't win the tag belts, they were going to be disbanding. And they teased Tico turning on Chuck Mambo and losing his rag with him in the middle of this one, which was a good spot. And yeah, the baby faces won. Again, nice bit of fan service. Match itself, I don't think it was a huge amount to write home about, but I always love seeing Grizzly Young Veterans and they're running through their stuff. So there was that too.
Yeah, I thought a perfectly fine tag match. They had me going on that like false finish. Well, I thought TK was leaving because that's what I predicted. I thought that seemed to be the way the storyline was going, and then building up feud with him and Mambo. But no, instead they can still do that at some page, and it's fine. But like I say, good fan service.
Dijak and Gabe Kidd, I thought, was one of the weaker moments on the show. Did it even really happen? It was just like the card ran long, so small mercies and such, but completely non-eventful. I thought it was just kind of when it was over. So was that it? It's done. Okay, cool. See you later. Like there was just, I expected more, and maybe one guy in this match is more to blame than the other.
Yeah, for this one, it was a match. Donovan Dijak's just not going to mean it. Can he just go back to NXT? He's a wrestler, isn't he? He's a wrestler. He's a tall wrestler.
He's your boy though, Matty. He thought you'd be bang up for this.
No one likes him, dude. What I like about Dijak, I just think he's the funniest
big
wrestler
star of the book.
He's the funniest wrestler of all time, Benno. It's like, and Crewy nailed it on the edge. Just because you can do something means you don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like he always says that. But it's just the strikes and he's just hilarious. You can just hear the slaps, the noises. I just find them fucking funny to watch, Dijak. He's just, as you say, a guilty pleasure if there is such a thing.
Yeah, going through the rest of the card, JJ Gale and Ishii was good enough. I like JJ Gale. I like him being put in this spot. Obviously, it was shades of the Luke Jacobs match from last year, although I would say JJ Gale, I think everyone watching it is of the understanding he's not quite at that same point Luke was with their version of the match, and it was kind of just I'd say Ishii maybe brings it a little bit more when he's in there for Rev Pro than he necessarily does when he's on Rampage and Collision doing the jobs each week. Maybe part of it is the fact that he wins a little bit more often in Rev Pro, but he was the right winner here. Is JJ Gale. I think Joe was impressed by him. I've not seen him in a while, but again, he's a little while off from being at that level. But yeah, there was some fun stuff in that one. Didn't mind that. The multi-person match was what it needs to be. Dante Martin got a nice pop being out there. I still think there's more to push on with Leon Slater. El Fantasmo was over for his part. If you have much thoughts on those two, JP?
I thought this was fine. Like this was like the first sort of like almost it felt like not the first proper kind of like match on the card, but I was happy to see Dante Martin. Again, I'm watching it with kids and they're seeing loads and loads of wacky stuff going on in the ring, and you realise about how like easy a match it is for people who don't follow Rev Pro on a week-to-week basis, and how much that they would have enjoyed it there as well. So like, I think the Will Caven upset, I think, was kind of probably at Summer Sizzler when he got James Castle's jacket. That feels like that was the moment that they were kind of like hinting towards like him getting the belt as well, which again I'm fine with, because this is the kind of belt
you got to go with people, got to give people shots. That's JJ Gale being in the spot with Ishii, him getting the win here. Like, yeah.
He's one of their guys. He should do that. Like, it's a scramble match, so you don't have to have ELP or Dante Martin eating a pin or anything else there as well. I think that's absolutely fine. And it was a way of getting, I know we've said it, I mean, AEW get people onto the cards to a ridiculous degree, but this is fine for like a cruiserweight match as well. I mean, how much about Neon? I don't know. He doesn't really stand.
At this level, though, you've got like, you got a roster who's grinding for you all year, and then you have a Copperbox show, which is going to be the most wrestlers some of these guys might ever wrestle in front of. You've got to give them those spots, haven't you? So I've got no problem with those matches being on the card. There's a Zoya and Ricky Knight Jr. match. I'm just not into Ricky Knight Jr. anymore. I feel like I can predict exactly what he's going to do in every match. However, I can't predict what he did for his entrance here with the paint, and Saraya obviously being there in the Rev Pro hoodie. The Spooky Nights, I guess they were on this night. I'm not sure. A bit like the Luke Jacobs cowboy act. Not sure it was an act that landed for me.
No, and I'm not that mad into the Punisher either, and that was the makeup he had all over it. Just he looked.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, he looked a bit daft. I thought I was intrigued because it was the first time Matty saw Zazoya. And like, did he look like a proper professional wrestler?
I turned around to you, Matty, and went, "You'll like him. He's got a good look."
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, guys. I mean, I can't remember seriously being the guy on this, but because he was. I honestly apologise so much. I know, my friend, but was this the match where?
RevProOnDemand.com, lads.
I know. I've been in work today. Was this the match where? I honestly, don't get me if it's the wrong match. I really apologize. The Death Valley Driver on the apron, which just looked absolutely fucking like it broke the guy's back. Like honestly, that brought me that was the one for me. Like that was just such a great spot. I was jumping up and down when I seen that.
If it happened in that match,
if it happened in that match, I couldn't.
Apologise. I was trying to.
One thing I didn't like was actually the post match where he shook his hand, because I thought, no, just go all in and
the grudge and respect handshake. Yeah,
didn't want that. I wanted him to be a dickhead heel, and he was with two people who were getting booed as well in Saraya and Zach.
Well, you're having your cake and eating it too, then, aren't you? You're a cunt, but also you're the one who shook. It's like but that's Ricky Knight Jr., isn't it? Like, he gobbles up these matches and has to get his shit in, and has to. There's a reason, I would say, why he's in this position in the card and not higher up. Yeah, my appetite to see him is not much at this point, but I've enjoyed what I've seen as Zoya over the last few shows. Although he's been an absolute success story for Rev Pro. Speaking of which, Ethan Allen and Colin Mills, I thought that was good work. Again, the setup for that on the York Hall show was well done. Maybe didn't hit the heights that I maybe thought might be to do with the length maybe in this one, but good undercard match is probably the extent of it.
I just thought he was sort of over when it got started. It may not have helped because we arrived in. This was literally starting as we were going in. So we were going in, settling into our seats, getting a drink and stuff like that. And then it was like, by the time I sat down and kind of started watching it, it was like it was over pretty soon afterwards as well. And it probably didn't help that both of them have had injuries recently. That's probably might have added to the length of the match, because obviously Conor Mills only just coming back from an injury, probably wasn't ready.
Yeah, he was a bit of a doubt, wasn't he?
He was a real doubt for this. I know Ethan Allen has had obviously like injury issues as well. So the fact it only went 8 odd minutes, like would perhaps tell the story for that, and obviously like the length of the card as well. But I think it was decent. I think these two work their way in storyline ways as much as anything else. I think it's just interesting having them on the card, because you'll always have the Conor Mills, Michael Oku story going on, and you'll always have the Ethan Allen, Luke Jacobs story going on. One of the things I was predicting when I was going full story mode into the main event is, will Ethan Allen turn on Luke Jacobs and stuff like that, but which obviously wasn't a thing that ended up happening. But I think it's, these are the kind of guys they've got on that undercard now, and they've got and Conor Mills is someone who's just he's really starting to like find himself in Rev Pro. And who he kind of needs to be. It just probably, like I say, didn't help the fact he was just coming back from injury.
He does all the things I want, which is mid-2000s ROH spots. So, yeah, one to watch for me, Conor Mills into 2025. And, yeah, Ethan Allen, he just needs a run of wrestling, doesn't he? Hope, that continues on. And, yeah, the other note I had from the show is, I was sad that as we were wrapping up our live show and sorting stuff out at the venue, I didn't see Grado make his appearance, although I did see him from the balcony bit of where our live show is, crossing that little bridge towards the Copperbox in full gear, coming from, was it a live show or a different wrestling appearance? I'm not even sure where he was in the world, but it was a match. Yeah, coming over in his full gear. Should have known at that point he was going to be a surprise appearance, but yeah, of course, Grado, two doors down star appears when I'm not in the building, but got a great reaction, and cool to see. Nice little bonus for the people who were there for the pre-show.
Yeah. Well, I just wish I'd see it. It was just weird because it just only stopped raining as well. And I thought, has he been walking in that a while? Because he'd be absolutely fucking sopping wet.
He was made up with the chanting, wasn't he?
He was absolutely loving it as well. Did we talk the women's title match?
Oh, we didn't talk Mina Shirakawa and Danny. You know why? Because it just happened, didn't it? The notable thing, and it is notable coming out of the show, is Mina Shirakawa is now the Rev Pro British Women's Champion, and at All In, when she appeared on screen in the crowd, actually we didn't mention it during the Toni Storm Mariah May match. It did actually say, didn't it? Rev Pro undisputed women's champion. So that's cool. That's a reason to do it. The match though didn't really get going for me, and I've been very high on Dani Luna's work in Rev Pro recently.
I think some of it's Mina Shirakawa is okay as a wrestler. I think she's a look, she's a presence, she's got a kind of energy and charisma to her. As a worker,
massive reaction for them.
Yeah, massive reaction, which in turn then, and this might have been the problem even with last year's women's title match, it kind of overshadows who your champion is, because you've got someone else in there who feels like they're kind of like a bigger star, and Dani Luna's better than that. I think Dani Luna's run has been actually really good. Now, if she gets the title back, and again, you could do this at Royal Quest and whatnot and get the title back, and I think that's fine. It'll probably flog a few more tickets because people are into Mina Shirakawa. But as a match, I thought it was there, and it was just like we were going through this. It just wasn't over long, at least. I think it was like 12 minutes or so, which is kind of okay and fine for it. And like I say, it's a name to put your title on if you're going to get access to her. And, I think still by default, she's a Stardom wrestler. So it always helps with that kind of relationship, doesn't it? And, you had a CMLL champion in Neon before. You've got Mina Shirakawa from Stardom. So they're happy to use them that's quite a common Rev Pro thing, is we've seen it with the heavyweight title for New Japan wrestlers coming in, getting it, defending it on big shows, and then, eventually losing it back to the kind of homegrown talent as well. So I expect that's the direction they'll go here, and as it'll help them shift a few tickets.
And obviously they've got coming up the bail-in shows this weekend as well. So things go on, and you say tickets, it shouldn't be underestimated. Obviously it's almost a shame because it's on All In weekend, so of course All In's going to be everyone's priority and the big talking point coming out of it. But same as last year, like really delivered on this Copperbox show. I say almost 4,000 people being there is for a self-funded company that hasn't got the big money or investment behind it. Like it's unbelievable, especially in this landscape as well, where people are doing somersaults because promotions that can do 600, in their regular venue. Like 4,000 is huge, and it makes it worthwhile running these Copperbox shows. It's a great tradition that I'm kind of sad we probably won't get next year. I could imagine, like you said earlier, a Crystal Palace show instead, or something like that. But obviously we've got Copperbox later in the year for Royal Quest, so at least there's that.
If Rev Pro are part of
that's Crystal Palace, isn't it? Crystal Palace later in the year,
yeah, and they're running there a lot more as well. I mean, I hope they go back there because the Copperbox feels special for them. If Rev Pro are part of Forbidden Door, that might give them a bit of a push sales-wise to getting a similar type number for next year. And who knows what the lay of the land will be and which wrestlers they'll be able to use at that point in time. But it's another success story. Like it was financially viable for them to do this card there. It's a cracking venue. It's so easy to get anywhere else afterwards as well. I just don't. I always want them to have their big shows here.
Yeah, great night at the Wrestler, and suiting to Rev Pro to be running a venue of this size. And yeah, there we go. That was the other big show of the weekend. Unless you've got more on that, JP. The only other news story we need to talk about, and unfortunately, similar happened last year, didn't it? And we had, All In to talk about. We had a big Copperbox show to talk about. And unfortunately, last year we had sad stories to talk about too. One that's definitely near and dear to you, Matty. We need to talk about the death of Sid. Obviously, WWE ran a banner for him, didn't they, last night before Raw. Lots of tributes coming out. Pretty much everybody saying the same thing. If you don't like Sid, then I don't want to know you, because I think no matter what your taste is in wrestling, as proven by this very podcast, like when we did the Squash Matches mixtape, which was basically a Sid mixtape, wasn't it? Because he was the king of such squash matches, especially in tandem with Vader as well. He's one of those wrestlers I think everybody's at least got a soft spot for, and yeah, one that obviously we were only talking about, weren't we, on stage before the Copperbox show, about we were the best wrestlers we've met. Sid was one of the first names that came out of your mouth, Matt.
Like, honestly, like, no matter your taste, you could be the biggest diehard technical wrestling fan, you could be the biggest whatever you're into in wrestling. Everyone likes Sid, like everyone, and it nothing sums that up as well than that ECW run. Like, you're talking the diehard fans, JP, and he just went mental every time he come out because he was just booked them so well. He would just come out, chokeslam power on people through tables.
Pretend they wouldn't want it, wouldn't they? But they did.
Absolutely going insane. Honestly, like, what would you even call him? Like, just what a presence, JP.
Presence.
What a, like, everything, like the years at this time for the promos as well. Like, I know he's had some like funny ones over the years that get played, but some of them, like, that character stuff, JP, honestly, like, really hit the point with him. Just, you'll never forget a wrestler like Sid, like, ever.
Yeah.
Like, absolute legend, mate. Absolute legend.
Hogan says here in the chat, which is surprising considering that he obviously beat Sid as well. But he said here in the chat that he's a proper vibes wrestler, and my God, he is, because he's one of those people when WCW was first on TV in the UK and you saw him, you were like, who the fuck is this bloke? Now, I'd obviously seen him in the magazines, and he's just this monolith who came out and just crushed jobbers. Just looked like he was going to absolutely destroy them, and you just couldn't take your eyes off him. And his matches didn't go for a long time. You were there for a good time, not a long time with Sid. And he absolutely like delivered it. And when he came out and he destroyed John Cronus and ECW, which I've enjoyed watching again and again, it was like bloody hell. It was awesome. Was that Guilty as Charged that he did that?
99, JP,
99 as well. Like he just was perfect, and he always looked great. And his commitment to softball, my God, like nothing got in the way between that man and the softball season.
Nothing,
fucking all over it as well. But it's sad because, again, you think of it, 63 is no real age as well. But he kind of got what he wanted out of wrestling. He got he got as much out of wrestling as he ever could have done. He had his late WCW run kind of came out of the blue for me. It was just like, well, where's he been for a while? Now he's in WCW and he's wrestling there. And
he was back and forth so many times, wasn't he?
Champion. He was always in the main event.
Yeah.
I've always say as well, trivia
always
note,
there.
I think there's only 5, maybe 6 wrestlers who've main evented the Starrcade and WrestleMania, and Sid's one of them. You'll always have that for him as well, mate. Love that.
And I think from a match perspective, when we did the Shawn mixtape, the story of Shawn, it was like his match against Sid.
Honestly,
it was that one, and the way the crowd had kind of
JP, I put that on soon as the unfortunate news last night. I just was on Twitter scrolling, and that's the first man everyone captivated. That entrance at Survivor, I've got it now. I've got them goosebumps. Look at them.
The Vlad
like,
hug.
Oh, the Vlad in his face, like just the grown Mendo JP just wanting Sid to beat this Shawn Michaels character, and the slow Hebner count at the end when he finally pins him, and the fans just going bananas. Like honestly, I go to that and watch that so many times, JP. I just fucking love it. Like,
Sid is one of them people who like I say, being a kid, loved him. You know, the stuff with Hogan, all of that, like going back and watching WCW tapes from the early 90s. It's the look, it's the way he carries himself. You love him. Then you get to a certain age and you're kind of told, you're not supposed to like him. He's not a good wrestler like the other, like the supposed good wrestlers. And then you watch something like what he did with Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 6. How can I not like him though? He's cool as fuck. Look at his perm. Look at his body. Just look at him. He's fucking great. And then I got a little bit older and obviously you see him go back to WCW, as JP said, and you know that end of the WCW run wasn't the best, but he made some chicken salad out of chicken shit with like you say, the Goldberg feud and some of the that Russo scene where he's shouting for Goldberg at the end of that Nitro, like that stuff that in the moment you think of as wrestle crap, and then you look back on fondly, don't you, as you get older and go, oh wow, I was taking it so seriously. How could they not enjoy Sid hamming it up? Because when he did ham it up, he hammed it up in a certain way that was like. He took it. I think I've seen this point made a few times about him. He took daft stuff very, very seriously. Like he was in character. There wasn't no Young Bucks winking a nod or Chris Jericho winking a nod about what he was doing. You believed that character on screen, believed in what he was doing, and there was. The irony was had later, not in the moment, what he was 100%. Doing. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand.
There's another one as well going around there where he does the promo. I think it must be on the TV show before, on the day, what was it called at the time? Like Superstars might have been going still then. An MC promo in the Alamo Dome before the Royal Rumble 97 match with Shawn Michaels. It's 2 minutes, and honestly, go and check it out, guys. It's one of the best promos you'll ever hear in your life. It's so, but as you said, Ben, it's full Sid. Are you listening to it? But it just makes so much sense listening to this character. Honestly, go and check it out. It's fucking incredible. Also, as well, on the funny side,
I know what you're gonna say. The live pal.
The live pal is like one of the greatest of all time. He'll be remembered so fucking fondly.
The master and ruler of the world.
World.
What a ridiculous thing to say. I'm not the best wrestler. I'm not the best at doing wrestling moves. I'm actually the master and ruler, not of this company, not of this country, the entire world, actually. Right?
But did you believe him?
Big statement.
It's so stupid. I didn't believe him, but he believed him, so that's what mattered.
Benno as well, sorry, JB, and also...
the half a brain line.
That one. But once when we met him at the Full of Wrestling, what a lovely fella, because he's one of them you think, don't you, in your head, like, I'm not a bit scared to go up to Sid. He couldn't have been any more fucking sound. Got a boss picture with him, couple of fist bumps, like just a fucking honestly. He'd be missed.
Made my day. That and the virtual backslap as we talked about on Saturday. Just getting those fist bumps from Sid on the way past. Just
But a proper wrestler in every sense of the word. That's what I would say. All round, just fucking character.
It's annoying because any other week we'd have led with this with him.
I know.
I know we did the squash matches mixtape, but I think we could justify a full Sid mixtape. You know,
Sid
and Nigel one's in the pipeline too, based on today's discussion. But Sid, SID, just as a standalone. I think that's got to be done, hasn't it? Like,
it's got to be good.
It's like Jeff, innit? It's the Forrest Bump thing. Think of the different places you can cover and the different time periods you can cover across that career because he was bouncing.
That Cronus match is on there, JP, for sure. That's definitely on there.
If we can find some Sid in Japan, then we're fucking motoring as well. I don't even know what that looks like.
Also, Benno, the original cinema is him and Vader with Davey and Sting in the little mini movies. So fucking incredible. And he's there for the Shockmaster as well, falling through the wall. He's there, Sid. He's got the moments, like just shame, mate. Absolute shame.
There we go, Sid. What a man. And yeah, really sad one, that one.
Yeah.
And yeah, outside of that, like I said, been a long show. We kind of covered everything. Anything from WWE in 30 seconds, Matty, which is now becoming a tradition. You want to tell us we should have talked about?
Bash
Good night,
this weekend, Benno.
Yeah, we'll be talking that.
Yeah,
we'll talk off air.
Punk and Drew in the big strap match, which it could go either way. It's a big stack card, to be fair, for the five matches.
It's helping with the blues of All In being over and done with, and what a fucking weekend we had. But it's like, at least we've got that to look forward to. A nice little Saturday evening pay-per-view, 5 matches, that'll be fun. And then all out the weekend after. It's all right.
Yeah.
Just on a Bloodline corner at the end, Solo's made Jacob Fatu give the tag team titles back to Tongaloa because he can't be his
Of course, you've watched SmackDown, mate. When did you watch that?
What's that segment?
Could have been on RPW on demand.com or Rev Pro on demand.com. That's the new name. Yeah, I haven't seen SmackDown. I've seen half a Raw. Punk and Drew is all right this week. Better when they don't talk, I will say. There we go. That's everything. Covered it all, lads, somehow. And again, what a week. What a weekend. I need to sleep for a week here, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone. Again, thank you to the Ogdens, Liam, everyone who helped out. Gareth as well. Should have said it earlier. He was on the pre-show, so it feels weird. Thank you, Gareth. But Gareth did the legwork when it came to arranging the venue for us for the live show, doing all the discussions with the venue and such like that, and even being the money man on it as well. So yeah, did an absolute sterling job. So he'll never listen to this, but thank you, Gareth, I suppose, and thank you everyone that came. Thank you everyone we said hello to again. What a great weekend. Yeah. One of the great weekends of our lives, I'd say, Matty. I reckon that's not an overstatement.
No, genuinely put that on like my personal social medias. Like, honestly, can't put into words like how good, what a feeling like it was that live show and the aftermath and just chatting to everyone, just hearing the stories of them listening to us. Like it just makes it all, like I've said, like podcasting's like I absolutely love it, but that just makes it that extra bit
boss
special.
man, like Luke Faith, I think it was. I was talking to one of the pubs, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I listen to you when I go on a run," and I love knowing that. I love just knowing what's the specifics of how
he was a great bloke. Oh, what a lovely guy!
Cracking, could be a wrestler himself. He could
be. Thanks again for the pie. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you for the drink. Yeah.
I love all those little interactions. It's always great to hear, isn't it? But yeah, thank you to everyone that came. If you couldn't come, I'm sure they'll be at another time as well to answer Hogan there as well. But yeah, I think we'll obviously got time on Friday, Matty. That's going to be this weekend. Not necessarily out on Friday, but we will be recording that this weekend. So people got that to look forward to. Buy the merch, I suppose, as well.
Yep.
JP, and then obviously we've got the other big thing coming up, September, Dealer's Choice Month coming up too. So
I've got mine nailed, by the way, lads. I'm confirmed.
I reckon I know both of yours. I just don't know mine. So okay. It's just Dealer's Choice.
Okay.
Maybe we should pick each other's. Oh, no, it doesn't really work. Pick one you think the person would like, and then find out they actually wouldn't. They're like a Secret Santa. And, maybe that could be a different one. Well, that's coming up as well. Anything else to plug or shout out, JP?
Also, chopped-tees.com. If you want to go there, go to the GRAPPL section. If you want some of our GRAPPL merchandise as well. And as always, go to the Patreon. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, why not? All this brilliant content. GRAPPL, patreon.com/GRAPPL. The YouTube channel, youtube.com/@GRAPPL as well. But yeah, loads and loads of brilliant stuff coming up. Like you said, we've got time coming out as well. So very much the place to be. Bigger and better things in the future. Brilliant.
And there we go. That's the end of the show. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to our live patrons. Thank you to our Kings of the Mountain, Connor Rothland, Eddie Sarsbairns, Chris Platt, Ewan Cameron, and Carl Gack, who upgraded while he was in the crowd at the weekend. Thank you, Carl. And thank you, everybody else. And thank you, Matthew, for acknowledging me this weekend. I'm definitely not going to rub that in. Good night, all.
Bye.
Do they go on the knees on WWE?
I'll go along with you. Just for you. And I will. GRAPPL. Cheers.
Gonna